get back is a title team.
No,
even I don't think it's even winning the West team.
I think it's bizarre too because Karl Anthony Towns and I like Karl Anthony Towns. I like Rudy Gobert. I think people trash on Rudy Gobert, and I think when you get into small ball lineups, there's some issues with him. But those two as your starting front court, if someone plays a small ball lineup, you are dead. You're dead in the water.
You're running in circles.
Yeah, I'm confused by that. Very, very lost. Also, though, Danny Ainge leaving Boston and what they have left behind now, Brad Stevens did a good job, I thought, in that Malcolm Brogdon deal. I thought that was well done. All he gave away was Nick Stauskas, Malik Fitz, Juwan Morgan, which not even rotation guys, then Daniel Tice, Aaron Nesmith, and a 2023 first-rounder to the Pacers. Now, that sounds like a lot, but Nick Stauskas, Malik Fitz, Juwan Morgan meant nothing to what the Celtics have going right now.
No, a lot going on. We'll talk about it all. Free agency really in and of itself a big story, and, of course, conference realignment. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. The one and only Lexus dealership in town. Happy 4th, happy Independence Day to everyone out there. Recreate, but be safe. From all the people at Lexus of Memphis to all their friends in this community. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2022 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Now, you mentioned it. We will have realignment updates and discussion with USC and UCLA headed to the Big Ten. Also, we're going to have to at 5 o'clock. We're halfway through 2022. With that, we're going to give you our top 5 local and national stories of the first half of the year at 5 o'clock. As far as our guests are concerned, 3:30, bring on Alan Bell from CBS Sports Line on some wagering. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall will join us from the Gold Sheet. I know he'll have a lot to say about realignment and where we're at with college football, as well as he'll give you some picks, courtesy of the Gold Sheet. Autos on listener lines 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You can also watch us live and message us on our socials, Sports56 WHBQ, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Sports56. And go to our website, Sports56WHBQ.com. Hey, by the way, guys, I almost forgot about this. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. It's the day every year where he gets his million plus. He gets his is it 1.9?
From now, he's been getting it a while, and continues through 2035.
That's good stuff. That's great deferred money.
13 more checks to cash.
Yeah, through 2035.
Way to go, Bobby.
I saw he's 59 today. He's 59. Good for him. Getting that 1.1
good for Bobby. Did you see Did you see the Mets owner Steve Cohen's tweet about it?
No, I didn't.
If that is indeed his account, it's blue checked. It's I think it's his account. He tweeted, "Hey, happy Bobby Bonilla Day, blah, blah, blah. Today's the day he gets his money. Good for him." And then he tweeted again right after that in that same thread, he could get this check now, and he gave a year, and he still doesn't have as much money as I do. How about that?
Okay, yeah. I think
that's dropping a house on it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. He's still making 1.1 from your franchise every single year when he's not playing for you. He's 59 years old, so, I mean, it is what it is. Still a lot of money.
One of my least favorite Cardinals ever, Bobby Bonilla.
What did he do with the Cardinals, really? Nothing?
Got hurt, and we introduced a guy named Pujols.
Yeah.
Was the guy that started playing early that year.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Gabe, when you were talking earlier about John Morant and the money he's making, you were a little guy, but when Dick Vermeil, I think the people in St. Louis really liked Dick Vermeil, didn't they, when he was the coach of the Rams?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And he delivered a Super Bowl title. They had we would always have those long summertime into August, right up to sometime opening day, holdout for first-round draft picks. And we've got that fixed now in the NFL. The young guys still make a lot, but their deals are pretty set in stone. I mean, here it is, you need to sign because it's not changing. But it used to be different back then, and they had the long holdout with Orlando Pace, and finally he signed for, in 1997, what we thought was unheard of money. It's peanuts now. And Dick Vermeil brought him out to practice, and he said, "I want to introduce y'all to the new owner of the St. Louis Rams, Orlando Pace."
That's pretty good. I know it's getting me, though, seeing these NBA contracts. Like, NFL contracts are peanuts compared to what we're seeing NBA guys get. I understand simple math, 53 versus 15 on a roster. Like, I understand that. But, like, Lou Dort getting $87.5 million, some of the best players in the entire NFL aren't coming close to that yearly valuation. That's rough. That's rough stuff.
It hit me last night, and I am just the biggest Adam Silver fan.
Right.
Love David Stern, love their leadership of the NBA, and forever will be indebted to David Stern. He delivered for Memphis. Finally, we got into the major leagues, in large part due to what we were going to do for Mike Heisley, but also David Stern was very pro-Memphis, had a lot of friends here before the NBA experience, the NBA pursuit team, and steadfast in his support of Memphis. Wanted Memphis to work. Adam Silver wants Memphis to work. And the criticism that Adam Silver has received about all these games and this NBA schedule, this is why they had to do it. They had to wedge in that bubble. They had to make that work in Orlando. They had to turn right back around and get into the next year. And it taxed a lot of people, physically, mentally, buildings, everybody league associated. But they had to do it to survive. And now they're not only surviving, they are thriving.
Yeah, coming out of it and thriving, the cap raising. Now, I mean, it's a good thing. Now, with the cap raising, we saw Ja's deal, and it got done, about midnight last night? We finally got the tweet out. Ja, 5 years, $193 million, could increase to $231 million if he makes another All-NBA team, which we really do expect at this point. We really expect him to be a yearly All-NBA guy. But highest paid player in franchise history, most lucrative contract in franchise history, and fully deserved when it comes to Ja Morant, what he's done for the city and what he's done for the Grizzlies franchise so far.
Just phenomenal. And the star that he is, but the star that he's going to be, the impact, the legacy that he's going to leave on Memphis and on the NBA. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel. This baseball season turn Ks into cash and big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up using promo code CASH, place that first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. You know I'm going to go Cardinal-centric. Tommy Edman just to get a hit. Nolan Arenado to hit a home run. And tonight, Miles Michaelis to go over on the strikeout totals. Great promotions every day, every weekend. Safe and secure app. And get paid fast at FanDuel. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook. That's at FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code. Get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Top story of the day.
We have NBA free agency going on, except the trades are the top story for me. The two trades we saw today, relatively blockbuster. We'll start with Malcolm Brogdon being traded to the Celtics. Some people say, Malcolm Brogdon's been hurt, not a big name, played for the Pacers. But you only give away Nick Stauskas, Malik Fitz, Juwan Morgan, who were not really big parts. They weren't rotation players. Daniel Tice, Nesmith, and a first-rounder to the Pacers. So it was kind of confusing to see what the Pacers got in return. I don't know if many of those guys outside of Daniel Tice will really be in the plans for them. But Malcolm Brogdon for the Celtics, that gives them that lead guard that they're looking for. That gives them the point guard that they're looking for. And he plays a little bit of defense. Now, you sort of wonder what the plans will be with Marcus Smart now that Malcolm Brogdon is in the fold. But I think this makes the Celtics fantastic. Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams. Your bench group could potentially be Al Horford, Derek White, Grant Williams, and Danilo Gallinari is out there. He agreed to a buyout, and he could potentially sign with the Celtics. So the Celtics look like they could be back in the same position they were this year. Also, just coming down, Rudy Gobert to Minnesota. I'm just kidding. I like Rudy Gobert more than most people. I think he's really good as far as defensively in the paint. He certainly gets things done there. Good lob threat, the whole 9 yards. But to give away Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, 4 first-rounders, 3 of which are unprotected, that seems like a lot to put into a front court that's going to be made up of 2 centers. It's going to be Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. You get a small ball lineup, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Now, I think the Timberwolves are trying to go for it.
What if you got in foul trouble?
But I certainly think this is a go-for-it move for the Timberwolves, but it doesn't feel like it makes a whole lot of sense on the surface. We'll see what it looks like, though, once we actually get into next season.
Gabe, I was glad to see today that Ricky Rubio got his 3-year, $18 million total, just $6 a year. But I told you I was there that night in New Orleans for Sugar Bowl when his knee, and I mean, he went one way and the rest of his knee went the other. It was bad to see. And we were down there close. You could see it. You could hear it. I'm glad he's getting back and back with the Cavaliers. My top story, the fallout continues over SC and UCLA to the Big Ten, from Brentwood to West Lafayette and from Westwood to Happy Valley spans the Big Ten now, with Southern Cal and UCLA delivering Los Angeles. The Kansas is now saying they want, I read a report that Kansas wants in the Big East with a complete retreat with football and downsized football, just the recognition of where they are. It feels like summer 2010 all over again when Kansas was out there rattling a tin cup trying to get in the WAC for a few days. That was all smoke, no flame that summer. This summer is all flame. This is real. It's not over. I got a friend of mine today that's very connected saying he thinks the combination of Sankey and Jack Swarbrick at Notre Dame can deliver Notre Dame to the SEC. And the SEC wants Clemson very badly. Not stopping at 18, could go as much as 20, could go as high as 24, 24 teams.
Now, I will say this. SEC, and you're talking about SEC and Notre Dame. Notre Dame and the Big Ten, there's smoke there as well. There's potential for that as well, and we'll talk about it as we get later in the show.
Not top story of the day.
A couple of good pieces of news out of Grizzlies land. Tyus Jones, 2 years, $30 million. Good to see him come back. Backup plan for John. He's been fantastic. Ja, though, 5 years, $193 million, the most in franchise history. Could be $231 million if he makes another All-NBA team. We've already hashed that out. But the bad news yesterday, and it really made me focus on what this team will look like next year. Jaren Jackson Jr. out with a stress fracture in his foot. That's very concerning. Kyle Anderson then, sort of after that news, signs with the Timberwolves, 2 years, $18 million. It feels like the Grizz this offseason are close to done with their moves with what they did in drafting 4 guys in the NBA draft. But you did lose 2 of your best wing defenders this offseason. I think there needs to be an effort to replace those guys, Kyle Anderson and DeAnthony Melton. And trusting Zaire is okay. Trusting Zaire is something that we've seen work okay through his rookie year. But you got to understand he needs room to grow. And I also think what you're asking these rookies to do is immediately contribute and immediately be rotation pieces. And I don't think they should be the full plan if you think a championship window is open, and that's the point I'm making. I don't think the Grizzlies front office is acting as if a championship window is fully open. And I think this is roster-wise on paper. You may see a regression next year, but I think the front office believes it's for long-term progression. That's what we've seen with this front office. But there's a lot of trust the process going on right now. I completely understand. I trust, but with Jaren Jackson Jr. And his injury, with Kyle Anderson out, with DeAnthony Melton out, I am starting to question what next year will look like a tad bit.
Very fair to Gabe, and you're right. The long game has to be remembered here. But boy, when you tease the fans with 56 wins and the 2 seed and just barely get nudged out by Golden State, it's hard to kind of go out there and sell. Hey, patience, it's coming in 26 or in 27. No, we want it next spring in 23. And I just realized with Walker Kessler, I got a lot of jerseys already. I got a Grizzlies jersey. I got a Minnesota jersey. I got a Utah jersey. I'm collecting the Walker Kessler jerseys at every stop. I got North Carolina. I've got Auburn. The only thing I own that's got Auburn on it. My not top story, Ja Morant will be with the Grizzlies a long time. But as Gabe just said, thoughts of a championship next year, they got a little bit dashed yesterday with the injury news and kind of the rekiltering of things a little bit with the Grizzlies. But a championship nonetheless in the future, in that long plan, we can still dream about and have a lot of fun with. Jaren Jackson is going to be solid for this franchise for a long time. We will see Ja Morant obliterate the record book here in Memphis. Points scored, 3 points, field goals, free throws, assists. He'll move way up there in rebounds. The ball finds him a lot of times. Just standing there, the ball will find him. He will shatter the Grizzlies record book, and we'll get to see it all.
Yep, no question about it. That'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Now, before we get to our first break of the day, I have to tell you about SeatGeek. Brace yourself for an existential question. Has your butt been having enough fun lately? If not, then it's time to start using SeatGeek. The SeatGeek app's the best way to get tickets for live events. I love the variety. You want sports tickets, Grizz, Tigers, whatever your favorite team is, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, it doesn't matter. You can get your tickets on there for the best prices. If you want to go see a music festival, I'll tell you about the one I'm going to highlight here in a second in Memphis Fest. You can get those tickets on there. You want to see a show at the Orpheum, comedian or otherwise, you can go and get your tickets on SeatGeek. Got to highlight Memphis Fest starting September 30th. 2-day and 3-day festival tickets are out right now. Widespread Panic, the Black Keys. I love the Black Keys. I will definitely be in attendance for their show. But 2-day and 3-day festival tickets are out for the lowest prices. Go check them out on SeatGeek. SeatGeek is so beloved by butts everywhere because they've made it the highest-rated ticketing app. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you're getting a good deal. Green means good, and red means bad. And I have a deal for you. You can get $20 off your first purchase on SeatGeek with promo code GABE56, GABE56, SeatGeek.com. On the SeatGeek app is where you can go put that in. Again, that's promo code GABE56, GABE56 for $20 off your first SeatGeek order. SeatGeek, get your seat in a seat. Download the app today. Let's get to our first break. When we come back, we bring on our man, Alan Bell from CBS Sportsline.
Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Mid-South Hobbies is passionate about your hobby. They have your favorite model airplanes, boats, race cars, and trains to build with brands you know like Traxxas, Lionel, and LGB. Mid-South Hobbies has all the accessories to make them complete and thousands of paint colors to make them shine. You can reach the sky with rockets and kites or reach deep into your imagination with action figures, comic book superheroes, and fantasy quest games. Get passionate about your hobby at Mid-South Hobbies, 4862 Summer Avenue.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I'm ready to get my Kia on. What's happening over on Mount Moriah at Gossett Kia South?
Hey, I know the car business is crazy right now, but we got them on the lot ready to ride. I've got a 2022 Kia Forte LXS 210 a month, 2022 Kia Soul LX 223 a month, both 36-month lease and $27.99 due at signing. Plus 2022 Kia Sorento LX 315, 36-month lease and $34.99 due at signing.
And Jeff, your Kias are always equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia, Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah now, or KiaMountMoriah.com. All 36-month leases, $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 0 security deposit. Forte, Indy 989, 848, MSRP $20,770. Sold in 78, 68, 67, MSRP $20,880. Sorrento, NG 128, 223, MSRP $31,980. Must finance through Kia plus tax Highland license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 7/5/22. Dealer stock only. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Remember the song, The Times They Are A-Changin'? This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors, and that is exactly what has happened in the real estate business. That is why I team up with Kelly Erb or Hugh Mallory or Elizabeth Kulo, Melanie Simpson or Diane Balkin. With one of them as a marketing partner and my old self as a point person, we have taken the changing real estate market and turned it into our benefit and our clients. Today, we talk about escalation and appraisal gap clauses, bidding wars, and which is the best deal for our client. And what you see is not always what you get. Most people call me Shell Dunn because they've heard that when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn. So before you make a move in real estate, remember to talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, but make sure I'm one of them. Reach me, Sheldon Rosengarten, Shell Dunn, at MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546. That's 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com.
Memphis's oldest restaurant, Colette's, was established in 1923 to give Memphians the best Italian food possible. And after 99 years, I'd say they got it right. They are the creators of the barbecue pizza. It was Elvis's favorite, and I know for a fact that a large will feed one person all weekend. If you need to feed several, though, Colette's caters any event. Choose from homemade lasagna, ravioli, Alfredo, primavera, and so many other delicious items you can't help but enjoy. Impress employees or clients and treat them to Colette's for lunch or dinner. Plan ahead and get your holiday party booked at Colette's. Elvis's favorite place to go eat with his buddies at the South Parkway location, and Colette's even has an Elvis room dedicated to him. Call Colette's on South Parkway at 948-7652 or Appling Road at 383-1122. Colette's. It was Elvis's favorite, and it should be yours too.
In the alley since 1948, Mr. Charlie Virgo's world-famous Rendezvous. John, you and your family continue the great work at the Rendezvous. Next year will be the 75th birthday party. Let's start the party now.
Brett, there are so many visitors in town to watch the emerging Grizzlies and to see our great sights and sounds in Memphis. I see them all the time at the restaurant. I want them to know Memphis is a great foodie town. There are so many family-owned, locally owned great restaurants that have stood the test of time. I won't mention all because the list is too long and I don't want to leave anybody out, but I will mention Jim's Place Grill because my cousins own it. It's a great restaurant and they've stood the test of time, and they are this year celebrating their 100th anniversary. And of course, any visitor that comes to Memphis needs to eat barbecue. And I've said this before, there's great barbecue all over Memphis. I know because I eat it. But if you just have one night to eat barbecue in Memphis, it should be the Rendezvous. It's such a special place with a special staff. And by the way, next year we will be celebrating our 75th anniversary.
The world-famous Rendezvous, serving Memphis in the Mid-South and with the shipping serving the world.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
Let me tell you what Melvin Toast is packing right here, all right?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Get it? Rolling along, Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe, he's Stats, and joining us, talk some wagering and just talk sports, talk the world of sports, is our man from CBS Sportsline, Alan Bell, at Alan Bell 247. Alan, what's happening?
What's up, boys? Y'all doing all right?
We're doing well. Are you looking forward to an 8 a.m. Pacific time start to USC versus Rutgers on the East Coast?
Dude, how crazy is all this, man? Like, it's going to be nuts. Like, seeing, like, West Coast teams, now they're dealing with, like, the Pac-12 or the Big Ten now, it's like all 4 time zones, right? And then what do we do, like, with Hawaii? Hawaii's going to have to join somebody at some point. Like, when they're in the ACC, it's gonna be an electric factor.
I'm dumbfounded by the events that have occurred after Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC. Nothing's off the table anymore, Alan. We are just, everything is going to be brand new by the time. And Brett asked me this question yesterday, which was insane, and I can't even begin to imagine. In 2030, what does college football, what do these major conferences look like?
No clue. I
Right.
have no clue. Like, I don't know what college football looks like in 5 years. honestly, right? Like, I think the biggest part is there's going to have to be some sort of governing body, and I don't think it's going to be the NCAA. I just don't know what it's going to look like. We all assume that it's going to be, 5, kind of power conferences here, but there's a lot of teams that aren't in that. You know what I mean? Like, I genuinely don't know, but I'll say this. There's so much money involved that they're going to figure it out. Like, it's not going anywhere, but it's going to look different than what it is and what we've known for 100 years.
Alan, I've done my share of punching, kind of using Rutgers as a pinata in New Jersey. But I've heard almost every extreme example thrown out that involves Rutgers. I heard on this radio station this morning a caller say, hey, are you ready for USC playing at Rutgers with the kickoff being at 11 Central Time, so that'd be 9 West Coast time, in 2 feet of snow? I would dare say in the history of Rutgers football, they've never played in 2 inches of snow, much.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. And look, I want it to go the other way. Like, I want it to be that these East Coast teams have to play the late games, right? Like, I want USC Rutgers kicking off 2 a.m., right? Like, I want these late night styles, and like you said, in the snow. Like, what in the world is going to happen there, man? It's crazy. It's just wild, and it really is. Like, we talked about it last week and a couple shows before. Like, it's musical chairs, right? And it feels like at times that the music is stopping and you got to figure something out. But then also you look up, you're like, well, we really don't have to figure anything out because I don't think that these conferences have it all figured out. Like, the Big Ten and the SEC might look completely different than what we think that it's going to be. So who knows, man?
Does it snow that often at Rutgers is what I want to know. I mean, we keep talking about the snow at Rutgers like it's Lambeau.
And by the way, an 11 a.m. start at Rutgers in New Jersey would be 8 a.m. on the West Coast for those guys.
Yeah, I said 11 Central Time, Rutgers.
Oh, okay, my bad. I got you.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll say this. First off, Piscataway, New Jersey. Oh, you're getting some snow, baby. Don't worry about that. And then number 2, like, I've done, like, the NCAA tournament thing in Las Vegas. It's weird waking up to basketball games at 8:30 in the morning. Like, when you're, like, laying in bed, you're like, okay, well, I guess we're playing now. This is nice.
Right. Now, I saw on your Twitter account, and this staying right on the college football front, a team in your neck of the woods, a team locally that we talk about, Tennessee. In their football program, their over/under win total is set at 7.5. I saw you say you think over is the play on this. Explain your reasoning on that and what you think Tennessee will actually be this year.
Yeah. So all right. So let's take 12 games. All right. So there's 5 big swing games for Tennessee here. Okay. So you've got Pitt, Florida, LSU, Georgia, and Alabama. Let's just go ahead and mark Georgia and Alabama as losses. Okay. So that sets us theoretically at 10. I think Tennessee's a better team than Florida. Now, I've said that a lot of times. They don't win that game very often, but I think that they're a better team right now than where Florida sits. I also think the same thing about LSU as we sit right now. Both those schools have brand new head coaches. Changes and things come in regards to that. I think Tennessee's just sitting in a better spot. And then you look at Pitt. I think Tennessee's a better team than Pitt, especially with Kenny Pickett gone, but you've got to go on the road, right? So between Pitt, Florida, and LSU, let's say they win 2 of those 3. All right, well, that's 9 games, 9 wins theoretically. Right now, there are other stumbling blocks in the schedule. Don't get me wrong; they've got to play Kentucky, they've got to play South Carolina, things like that. But long story short, like, just going through it, if you're giving me over 7.5, yeah, like, I like that number. Plus, you have a bowl game, mixed into this as well. So yeah, like, if you're giving me 7.5, absolutely, I'll ride that over all day long. 8.5, now we're getting dicey here.
And doesn't it really hinge with the Vols defensively? Because offensively they have a bunch of returners, but defensively they fell short last year in a lot of ways. I know they were better, and in year 1 for Josh Heupel looked good, but taking a step in the right direction defensively could get them to that total.
Absolutely. Like, that's the biggest thing, right? Like, their offense is going to be their offense. It's going to be fast. They're returning their quarterback, which is another big reason, why I like them. But you're right, man, because, as fast as they score an offense, as fast as they give up points on defense, right?
I've said this, Alan. I think when you look at Josh Heupel and even you look at Lane Kiffin at times, although I think Lane has done a better job at trying to control the ground game and run the ball, and he's switched up sort of the run schemes. I think he's done a little better than Josh Heupel. But it's hard to be a defense with those guys and how they run their offense. It's hard to coach defense alongside that level of pace that they're playing.
It's brutal, right? Because you have no time to just take a breather. And I'm not even saying get a rest. Like, just get a swig of water and listen to your position coach say, hey, you guys screwed this up. Like, let's do this next series out. Yeah, man, like, it's really, really difficult. So, we know that Heupel's not going to slow that offense down. It's being able to, schematically, how do they figure it out? Because if you're, Josh Heupel, you're saying, look, we can win most of these games. I need 3 stops on defense. That's it. Give me 3 punts on defense, and we'll win this game, right?
Right.
So, how do they figure out how to do that? It's easier said than done. But, yeah, man, I'm with you. Like, they got to figure out the defense if they want to, truly take that next step.
Alan, I'm there with you on the punting. My college football life on Sunday morning, the first thing I would go to in the box scores, other than the final score, of course, would be yards rushing. And that was the telltale sign of who won the game, whether it was 41-11 or 241-19. That was the team that usually won, the team that won the rushing battle. First thing I go to now in box scores is the number of punts. If you punt more than that other team does, you lose.
Yep. You're 100% right, man. Like, college football is about scoring. And if you're not putting points on the board, like, you're just in trouble. Like, not many people can play the Georgia style of football, right? Like, it's very, very difficult to do. I mean, even look at Nick Saban in Alabama, right? Like, the last 5 years, that team has been built on offense. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm with you on that, man. And, if you're a coach, that can score, points at a pretty good clip, yeah, like you're saying, look, I need 3 punts. Like, we got to figure out whatever we have to do to get 3 to 4 punts in this game, and we'll win it. But, again, that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And if you get 5, you can start the fight song for post-game celebration.
And I love how you say it, because obviously playing at Memphis when I did, we did defensively, we lacked. It was to the point where we were just counting stops. We didn't really care. Like, don't hold them. You're not worried about holding them under a certain amount of points. It's about as many stops as you can get. If you can get 3 or 4, we can handle it. We can beat them 55-42, whatever the hell the final score will be. But just get the stops, and that's really what it's become. Now, outside of Tennessee, as far as win totals are concerned, are there any in college football, in the SEC, in the AAC, anything that you cover closely that you think that you like at this moment, over or under?
Yeah, so, I'll say this. I haven't dug in full just yet. I'm starting to do that now. But a couple that I've seen so far. Georgia's is set at 11.5. I don't care what it is. Give me the under. Like, all they've got to do is lose 1 game. All right? They just got to lose 1 game. And Georgia's going to be good. Don't get me wrong. But they lost a lot of talent. Like, it's a tough schedule. Like, I could see one loss popping up somewhere, right? So, I'll just play the numbers on that one. The second one, Utah. Dude, I love Utah. I love everything about Utah football. Like, if you're playing Utah and you're not ready for what they want to do, buddy, you have messed up. Because that is physicality, dude. Like, that is, you're going to walk out and get to fight. And if you're not ready to fight, that guy's still going to fight. You know what I mean? So, I've seen Utah anywhere from, I've seen some 6.5, I've seen some 7.5, I've seen some 8.5. I like the overs on all of those. I'll have more for you as we dig into them. But, yeah, like, Georgia under, Utah over, absolutely.
Alan, we know the NFL is a 3.5 point spread league. You go through the NFL week-by-week lines, and you see 3.5 out there a lot. These preseason college football totals are almost a 7.5 world. You mentioned Tennessee being 7.5. I love Tennessee going over 7.5. I'm glad that you like it. But all the locals, Memphis at 7.5, Arkansas 7.5, Ole Miss at 7.5. I went through my first lightly shaded pencil on win-loss totals for the SEC, and I just see a whole bunch of 7-5 and 8-4s.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, and you're right saying that. Beyond the SEC, like in a lot of conferences, right? Like you're looking at 4 to 5 losses. Like that's kind of the line, right, of where these teams are going to go. I think obviously quarterback play is going to have a ton to do with that. If you've got a team that's bringing back, even if it's a quarterback who might not necessarily be Kenny Pickett, like a first-round draft pick, like if you just have a guy who understands the offense and can command it, right, and just be, somebody who's not
Will
turning the ball
Rogers,
over.
KJ
Exactly.
Jefferson.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like that's going to play a ton into this. So I'm with you. Like it's tough because I don't think that there are that many like excellent like stand above teams beyond anybody. I mean, even Ohio State last year, hit a spot where it was like, okay, this offense can't score anymore. Like what in the world happened to them, right? It's a long season, man. And, Gabe, you know that better than anybody.
Yep.
You could be awesome the first 2 months. Dude, it starts getting colder. Injuries mount up.
Oh, those
guys
injuries.
are tired. Like, it's a long season, man, for sure.
Yeah, and the injuries that people don't notice. Just an interior D lineman, an interior offensive lineman, a tackle goes down, and it just starts to spiral on you. And we're not even talking about a quarterback. If a quarterback goes down, a lot of colleges, a lot of universities are in a world of hurt. Like, they don't have anybody to really turn to. Now, I'm curious. I'm curious on this, Alan, and I want to know what your thoughts are. The Titans this year.
Yeah.
What is reasonable to expect out of them? 12 wins last year, number 1 seed in the AFC. They ship out A.J. Brown. They bring in Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks seems to be having issues with asthma. I don't know if that'll hold. We'll see what happens. But what's reasonable to expect out of the Titans this year?
Yeah, so, here's the weird thing, right? Like, so they went 12 games last year. We're just talking about injuries. They had more injuries than anybody historically in the NFL ever, right? Like, and it's like they rose above it. That being said, look, I like everything about the Titans in terms of Mike Vrabel, the way he coaches, the way players play for him. They've got offensive line issues that they're going to have to address. It's not going to be that pretty. Derrick Henry carried a lot for them last year, he's coming off an injury. We saw him in the playoff game, but that wasn't Derrick Henry. So we'll see. Look, I'm not going to lie, man. Like, I think that this quarterback thing could become a problem if Ryan Tannehill does have a couple bad games. Like, you know how it is. Fans are going to scream for Malik Willis to come in. And once that starts, it really never stops.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even if Tannehill has 3 straight good games after that, the minute he has a bad game, it just goes right back to that of screaming for Willis, right? So, look, the Titans are going to be a good team. Right? I think 10 wins, is a good projection of where they're at. But, again, like, you look at the last couple of years, they had a lot of things go right for them in terms of, if you look at like fumbles in a season where a team has 10 fumbles and they recover 9, like that doesn't happen year after year. Usually it flips and you have 10 fumbles and you recover 1, right? And that's the difference of 3 games. So look, I'm not saying anything negative on the Titans for sure, but they are going to need Traylon Burks, and Robert Woods to be very excellent wide receivers, because if it's the Derrick Henry show again, there's only so many times you can go to that well, man. And they don't have a backup really for him either. Yeah.
And the one thing I have been concerned about this whole time is I wonder, after last year, seeing how limited they were in that game against the Bengals with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback and how bad he was, you hope he didn't lose the amount of confidence that's going to make him take a huge regression, a huge step back. And that's the one thing I'm worried about with him, especially with Malik Willis, all the sort of distraction Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill saying, I don't need to be his mentor, and that being big news. Hopefully he can put that behind him and keep on that same track that he has been the past 2 years, because he has. I mean, you talk about Ryan Tannehill limiting them in the playoffs, but he has gotten them to this point where they are winning games and a consistent threat in the AFC, so you have to give him credit for that. But, Alan, always appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us.
All right, appreciate it, boys. You have a good weekend, man. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good 4th.
Yep.
Thank you, Alan Bell, with us every Friday, and happy 4th to him. Happy 4th to everyone from Jason's Deli, and they like to say, bringing more to the table. It's a family thing, and they deliver. They deliver with low delivery fees. Call your local deli for details. Any of these locations, like on Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Online at jasonsdeli.com. I mentioned the strawberry shortcakes. I know this weekend a lot of people are doing their own thing. They're not going out for for the food. They're doing a lot at home, a lot at the lake, a lot at the beach. The strawberry shortcake. You can't do that. Go by Jason's Deli and get that for your whole gathering. The rest of Jason's Deli, I mean, the strawberry shortcake is a deviation from this, but the rest of it at Jason's Deli is very healthy. First franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. Jason's Deli, all about choice. You can get what I call the good stuff or the healthy stuff. It's all about choice, regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the Build Your Own. You will be delighted at Jason's Deli. Plenty of organic food to choose from. All the meats, all the cheeses, the breads, the spreads, also very good. Those salads, like the chicken Caesar salad, the nutty mix-up salad, my favorite, the taco salad, also good. The salad bar, over 30 items just on the salad bar to choose from. Catering anytime, anywhere, any season, 5 to 5,000. Jason's Deli will take care of you. I mentioned the locations. Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. If you're in those, wrap it up with a complimentary free ice cream on these hot summer days. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
All right, now we have to get to a break. When we come back, a lot transpired yesterday in NBA free agency. We talk about the max contracts. We tell you who got signed. We tell you what moves have been made when we come back on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Vanelli's Deli, new summer menu items, roast beef sandwich, Italian chef salad, or my favorite is the chicken breast salad, gigantic bowl of lettuce, black olives, grated cheese, sliced mushrooms, green peppers, diced chicken breast, with ranch dressing, yum. And ask about Vanelli's Deli catering, family or corporate. Call today and ask for Charles at 901-754-2246.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
It's that time of year when you're going to find yourself in charge of planning some event. It might be a late graduation celebration, a baby shower, a tailgate. There's always something in the middle of the summer. And whenever someone is in charge of one, they always get the same things. Well, you can be different. You can get Sunrise. Sunrise on Jefferson, in coordination with Southern Table Catering, can bring the perfect breakfast or lunch to you and yours. Imagine how happy your people will be when they get something different. It's not just different, but amazing, fresh and delicious. Don't feed them lunch boxes. Feed them Sunrise.
Make sure to stop by 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill for the best home-cooked lunches around Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Meatloaf, baked chicken, catfish, and more, along with yummy veggies. Plus a great brunch on weekends from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. They have plenty of TVs to watch sports, and they have live entertainment on the weekends. Join them on Sundays for Left Turn Sunday NASCAR watch parties with beer and food specials. 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill, voted the #1 sports bar in DeSoto County. Getwell Road, South Haven.
Hey, Mid-South, looking for the perfect ride that's perfect for you? We got it at Gossett Kia on the Pike. And if you don't see exactly what you want, no problem, we can order it for you. Right now at Gossett Kia, get a 2022 Kia Forte LXS, $210 a month. 2022 Kia Soul LX, $219 a month. Both 36-month leases and $27.99 due at signing. And road trip ready SUV 2022 Kia Sorrento LX, $315 a month, 36-month lease and $34.99 due at signing. And all Gossett Kias come equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 0 security deposit. Forte, $89.89, $848, MSRP $20,770. Sold in $78.68.67, MSRP $20,880. Sorrento, NG $128,223, MSRP $31,980. Must finance through Kia plus tax Highland license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 7/5/22. Dealer stock only. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect machine. It's really a miracle of evolution.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Back in on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe. He is Stats. Now, NBA free agency's been rolling along. We've talked about most of the max deals. Obviously, Brad Beal and Nikola Jokic signed back with their respective teams. Brad Beal with the Wizards, Nikola Jokic with the Nuggets, and they both get $250 million. Yes, with a B, $250 million on their supermax contracts. Karl Anthony Towns signs back with the Timberwolves, 4 years, $224 million. Zach LaVine ends up staying with the Bulls, 5 years, $215.2 million. The max contract, and we talked about Ja, but the max contract that really is worth discussing. Zion Williamson officially signs his max contract with the Pelicans, 5 years, same thing as Ja, worth up to $231 million. Now, I know we haven't heard about setbacks lately with Zion, but this is a massive risk that the Pelicans are taking at this moment, but I feel like it's a risk they in their current situation, kind of have to take.
They have to take. They made strides last year. That was a great job turned in by Willie Green his first year. They got off that terrible start, and then they found a little something. Herb Jones gave them a lot, and they got something from C.J. McCollum after that deal, and other players, Brandon Ingram most notably. If I want Zion to have his free, fresh, injury-free start. Yeah. I want him to make it. And now he is Maxstradamus.
And it always trips me out.
He maxed out.
People seem to forget. When Zion was on the floor, he was an all-star. When Zion got to play an extended period of time, he was unbelievably good on the floor. I mean, he what was it, 27 points per game, 7 rebounds. He was ridiculously talented and good. So Zion on that roster right now, if you're talking about starters, I like what they have. C.J. McCollum at the point, Brandon Ingram at the shooting guard, Herb Jones, who I think defensively showed his worth this year, and pretty decent offensively, not awful. Zion Williamson actually inserted back in alongside Jonas Valanciunas as their front court. I like what they have, and not to mention draft-wise this year. The Pelicans did well. Dyson Daniels, I think, is a good player that can turn into something from the Ignite. And also, you look at E.J. Liddell. Got E.J. Liddell, who a lot of people thought would be into the first round, got him at like 41, somewhere in the second. They have put together a very decent lineup, very fast, in my opinion. And Zion actually being healthy is the last piece that really puts the full puzzle together.
If they win, that market will respond. If they don't, they will not. They will not go out to support a 25-win team. Yep. But if they win, that market will support it. This hour, wrapping up hour one, and every day it's brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. They've got all those great offers on all 2022 models and always special leasing options. Stop by today at the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500. and you'll be looking and driving in style on this 4th of July weekend. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at LexusOfMemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
A couple more things before we wrap up hour number one. Jalen Brunson officially signs with the Knicks. We knew it was coming. 4 years, $104 million. Did you see the backdoor shuffle he was doing, though, with the Mavs? Mavs gave him an offer late, and he was leveraging it out with the Knicks.
And his dad was thinking, no, you got to sign with the Knicks.
I got a kick out of that because that would be so Knicks. Could you imagine if Jalen Brunson signed back with the Mavs after all this talk? Also, John Wall to the Clippers is official. 2 years, $13.2 million. And I looked at their championship odds today, Brett. Plus 550. They're at the very top, the Clippers. And I can see why if John Wall can produce anything like we've seen in the past. Blazers extend Yusuf Nurkic, 4 years, $70 million. Blazers also signed Gary Payton II, 3 years, $28 million. And the last one worth mentioning, Nuggets. Nuggets signed Bruce Brown. Shout out, Bruce. I'm a big fan. I'm a Bruce Brown guy. I love Bruce Brown. But 2 years and $13 million for him to go to the Nuggets. That'll do it for hour number one. Hour number two on the way, and we have a lot of conference realignment to discuss, and we have some wagering to discuss. But coming up next, we bring on Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. You're listening to Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkheimer for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. It's our 34th anniversary of Sunrise, and we're celebrating with a sale and savings that are bigger than ever. Over 600 new and used cars and trucks to choose from with huge Sunrise savings. See the entire inventory at sunrisememphis.com. Hundreds of pre-owned vehicles with a lot specializing in cars and trucks under $10,000. Credit not so hot? It's okay. At Sunrise, we specialize in secondary credit and have financing for everyone. New cars and trucks aren't free, but at least they're affordable at the 34th anniversary sale going on now at all Sunrise locations. Covington, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
Don't miss Chris Pratt in the terminal list.
Lieutenant Commander James Reese, can you outline the details of your mission?
It was a setup. They knew we were coming.
Nothing in this file adds up.
From Antoine Fuqua, director of Training Day.
Answers or blood? Blood. Stay off my list.
The Terminal List. New series, now streaming on Prime Video.
Barks now offers you just about everything you need for your furry family member. Daycare, luxury boarding, award-winning grooming, veterinary checkups, diagnostic services including digital x-ray, fluoroscopy and ultrasound, complete dental service, vaccinations, preventative care for fleas, ticks, and heartworms, and just about any needed surgical treatment. And did I mention that we treat cats and all types of exotic pets? We are the newest member of the Barks family and the newest, most high-tech veterinary hospital in the Mid-South. Located directly across the street from Barks and Recreation, we are a full-service hospital with a fantastic, experienced staff. If you're having problems getting a timely appointment at your current vet's facility, we are here to serve you. Call us at 901-979-8888. Barks and Medication. Excellence in veterinary care.
Grapevine Liquor and Wine has the largest selection of bourbon in North Mississippi and wines from all over the world. Let Jimmy the Delta Boy help you select the perfect spirit or wine to impress. Whether you're looking for the best price or a certain flavor profile, Grapevine Liquor and Wines has it. If you want good southern treatment and the hottest prices, Grapevine Liquor and Wine, Getwell Road, South Haven.
Hotty toddy, gosh almighty, where do you get your bourbon? Flim flam, bim bam, Grapevine, by damn.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Is your air conditioning system struggling to keep up this summer? It may just need a tune-up. Good news, it's super tune-up time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-up on your air conditioning system for only $69. And if you have an air conditioner that leaks Freon every year, we'll include a leak check at no charge.
License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19668.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hey, Mid-South, looking for the perfect ride that's perfect for you? We got it at Gossett Kia on the Pike. And if you don't see exactly what you want, no problem, we can order it for you. Right now at Gossett Kia, get a 2022 Kia Forte LXS, $210 a month. 2022 Kia Soul LX, $219 a month. Both 36-month leases and $27.99 due at signing. And road trip ready SUV 2022 Kia Sorrento LX, $315 a month, 36-month lease and $34.99 due at signing. And all Gossett Kias come equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 0 security deposit. Forte, NE 989, 848, MSRP 20,770. Sold in 78, 68, 67, MSRP 20,880. Sorrento, NG 128, 223, MSRP 31,980. Must finance through Kia plus tax Highland license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 7/5/22. Dealer stock only. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
How do you want that cooked? Burnt to a crisp or bloody as hell?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Hour 2 is here. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. Brian Dakes, of course, producing the program. I'm Gabe, he's Stats. And joining us now, as he normally does at 4 o'clock on a Friday, is Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. Bruce, how are you?
Hey, pretty good, Gabe.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I guess we'll start with USC and UCLA headed to the Big Ten. What's your full reaction to this? Seems like we're going to the two top conferences, Big Ten and SEC. How it's been, we're going to a Power 2 more or less, and it feels like no one can sit and be stagnant in the grand scheme of things.
That's what I'm thinking too, and I think we've talked about this. Unless I'm mixing up my shows with Jimmy out in Baton Rouge, that USC and UCLA were going to be in play. We might have talked about this a couple months ago because I knew that the Pac-12 media rights were up for renewal here, which will be after 2023, which effectively makes all the league sort of free agent because they can jump without getting incurring a penalty because the rights fees just go through the length of the contract. So I'm not surprised at all that USC and UCLA did this. Not at all. I mean, I didn't expect to see it come yesterday. I thought it would be at some point, but I mean, it stunned me like everybody else, but I wasn't surprised when I saw it. I'm certainly not surprised the Big Ten did. I understand completely where they're coming from. But I think there's a few bigger things here at play, and one is that the Pac-12, if it's not careful right now, and I think this actually might happen, where next year in the Pac-12, 2023, it will become effectively like the Southwest Conference in 1995. That might be it. If they have any more defections, and this could all happen pretty soon because, like I said, they are all sort of free agents now before they sign another rights deal, and the rights deal now at the Pac-12 that does not include the LA schools and maybe some others. I mean, you could see the rest of the South splinter off to the Big 12. Washington and Oregon are not going to sit by idly here. I don't know what Cal and Stanford are going to do. I think Washington State and Oregon State would probably end up in the Mountain West. Oregon and Washington, I think they believe they can go and make the sort of move SC and UCLA made. But those are the two that would move together. Washington would not go with Washington State, and Oregon would not go with Oregon State. This goes back to the Pac-12, and this goes back to Larry Scott making a variety of missteps along the way, mostly to do with the Pac-12 network. And the mistake they made right from the start was that they did not partner with a major network to get more clearance, to help them get more clearance. The Big Ten, having Fox as a partner really helped the Big Ten get the network off the ground. Having ESPN as the partner really helped the SEC network grow. Now, the Longhorn Network didn't help Longhorn Network too much, but they realized pretty quick that didn't have a footprint outside of the state of Texas. But the Pac-12 certainly wasn't able to get the sort of clearance that it was hoping for. It never did. And I have always maintained that even though there's some big cities in the Pac-12 markets, that you are basically sharing with pro sports in all those big markets there. And it is tough. I mean, Stanford and Cal get lost in the Bay Area, and they just don't have the same pop that you would think schools in those sort of markets would have. I mean, they sometimes they don't get any coverage at all. And Seattle's a pro market now, and Phoenix is a pro market, and Colorado. I mean, Denver's a Broncos market. It's not really a Buffalo's market. So there's some endemic to the Pac-12. There were some issues that I don't think they quite ever figured out. But Larry Scott's misuse of the original, and the school presidents too, for the outside of the Pac-12 network. Last death knell might have been how poorly they handled the pandemic. Everybody dealt with the pandemic, but only the Pac-12 had Larry Scott, and they were not going to play at all. Remember, the SEC played the 10-game season, the ACC played a full season, so did the Big 12, sort of the Sun Belt. But the Pac-12 waited until the Big 10 said, okay, we're going to do this half-season thing in November, and the revenues really dropped off more than they should have, and that's, again, Larry Scott's fault.
Bruce, don't you find it not the least of which hypocritical, but also very revealing maybe about his character? Last summer, the SEC were just predators. They were some of the worst people on earth. And then we had the alliance form, and then Kevin Warren goes out and does his deal.
That poor alliance, my gosh, that's funny.
Well, I know, and the Big 12 sort of reached out to the Pac-12 to have a real sort of a partnership, and now they had this alliance with the ACC. I know that was sort of a handshake agreement, but they actually had the Big 12 trying to make a deal with the Pac-12. The Pac-12 wanted nothing to do with it, and now the Pac-12, I think, would scramble to have the Big 12 as a partner. So we'll see. Scott has since left. George Klavikoff is the new commissioner, and he came over from the MGM resorts. But he's got a hot potato on his hands here. They might try to make a Hail Mary. The Hail Mary they would make right now, if they want to salvage this, is maybe try to lure BYU and Houston before they actually officially enlist with the Big 12. And that's a remote possibility. I think it's more likely that Colorado and Utah and the Arizona schools jump to the Big 12. Yeah. And maybe Washington and Oregon find another landing spot. I don't know where Cal and Stanford go. One other thing, media rights. More is not always better unless you can increase the size of the pie enough where each slice doesn't reduce. So that's the other thing. That's why sometimes the expansion doesn't always fit into the plans financially. But that's why USC and UCLA definitely fit. They expand the Big 10 pies enough, and with this new deal they've got coming up, it's going to mean more money for every school. Now they can negotiate with LA as part of the deal. So in that case, it certainly works for the Big 10.
So I have heard your sentiment there on the Big 12 being able to poach some of the Pac-12 teams. My question, when we talk about revenue, I think the Big 12 per year, I think their estimation for each team and their payout's going to be $40 million. I think the Pac-12 for next year's $34 million, something in that range. So not a massive difference in money. $6 million is not going to kill anybody. But do you think the Big 12 has the clout to really attract those Pac-12 teams, or do you think it would be more of a merger type deal between both the conferences?
Well, that's a good question. And I think something is going to happen here. And I think it's more a case that I think those four schools that I mentioned would be willing, in the absence of the Pac-12 being a viable entity,
right,
would be willing immediately to make a jump. That's my thought. And I think they bring some markets into the Big 12 where they could renegotiate it up, and I think it would be worth everybody's while. As far as that is a possibility too, is some sort of a merger, though again, I think it's kind of interesting. Now it would be the Pac-12 sort of crawling on its hands and knees to the Big 12 to save it. I think Oregon and Washington are going to make some sort of a play here, and again, I said they wanted. It's going to happen pretty quick because the media rights deal ends after next season, the 2023 season. So the Pac-12, I don't think has many options left here, and especially if Oregon and Washington decide to bolt, maybe they go to the They're trying for the Big 10 too. We'll see what happens there. and especially if there's other Pac-12 South schools leave for the Big 12, the Pac-12 is toast, and it's and they are they're the Southwest Conference circa 1995.
So yesterday, when I'm talking, obviously I'm a University of Memphis grad, played there. Like I really want them to be into the Power Five. I want them to make the cut whatever the iteration of college football. By the time we get to 2030, whatever it's going to look like, I want Memphis to be part of that group. What do you think about how should people feel? The Group of Five to Power Five, the Boise States of the world, the Memphises of the world. How should they feel about this move? Because yesterday I thought, okay, maybe feel pretty good. Today I've sort of stepped down off that to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think it's more likely they're not going to ever be part of a seat at the big table. They may be able to force their way into what is currently the Power Five, though I think the Power Five, like you said at the outset, Gabe, is going to be the Power Two within a couple of years, and they're just going to go off on their own and do their own thing. As far as Memphis is concerned, my thought initially was that this was not a good scenario for Memphis, because if they are hoping for somehow to get in the Big 12 at some point, which seemed the most likely outlet for Memphis, having these Pac-12 schools all of a sudden be free agents there, I think that knocks Memphis down a rung. Memphis's hope would be that the Pac-12 tries to keep its alignment with the 10 it has and can somehow pull a BYU or a Houston in there. They're talking about a Gonzaga for basketball too. And so maybe the Big 12 would lose one of these four coming in, one or two, and then Memphis is right. But before the Pac-12 schools became free agents, Memphis, I think, was next in line to get a call from the Big 12. So that's the scenario that I think Memphis would need, is for the Pac-12 to somehow stay alive and pull somebody out of the Big 12 to come over. I think that's unlikely, but that would be the scenario Memphis would need, I think.
Bruce, who lands the biggest whale out there? The Moby Dick, Ahab out trying to lure him in. Who lands Notre Dame?
I think the Big Ten will at some point, because if in my scenario, and this goes back to that story I wrote about 11, 12 years ago, I called it the Big 64. And I thought there would be 4 leagues of 16 teams each, and that would be the Super League. I've overshot, I think. I think it's going to end up being like 48. And at some point, if this comes into a Super 2 thing, Notre Dame's going to have to enlist. They're not going to be able to continue to be an independent. Now, the ACC, I think, is going to try to put the full court press. They have been as much as they can. If they could somehow get Notre Dame to enlist full time and become a part of this thing, and grow to 16 itself, and maybe add somebody else in there because they're at 14 now. Then there could be maybe this eventual thing could be a Big Three conferences. The ACC may need Notre Dame to do that. Yeah. They will, if that doesn't happen, I think at some point they'll hook in with the Big 10 that will expand them out. They may add one more to get to 18 or 2 or, it could be 20. They land by the end of the decade, Brett, they're going to be somewhere. I'd say most likely the Big 10, but in the new order of college football, Notre Dame is not going to be able to remain an independent. I'm convinced of that. They're going to have to join somebody. So that's my thought right now.
If Notre Dame, I think we all agree, I think the whole universe would agree, they're the number one free agent. Who would be number 2? Notre Dame's 1. Who's number 2 that everybody is coveting?
Well, that's available right now. I'm assuming if you're thinking some of these Pac-12s are available, Oregon and or Washington, it's not as much about TV sets now, from what I'm hearing, and these new calculations. Ratings mean a lot too. And though Oregon doesn't bring as many TV sets, they do bring a potential for ratings. Their ratings have been better. Washington brings more TV sets, but they both have some credentials. Washington also meets the academic cut line, is above that the Big Ten supposedly has, or this AAU accreditation. They want top 50 schools. Well, they did make an exception for Nebraska, and they amended it to a top 50 school in agriculture, so then that's how Nebraska got in. Now Stanford is another interesting one, maybe Cal too. Stanford brings a lot to the table, but like I said, it doesn't really. They haven't moved the needle too much in recent years, ratings wise. And like I also say, they get overlooked a lot in the Bay Area. Short of those, if BYU isn't officially locked into the Big 12, and they effectively are, but I guess there's still some wiggle room out, BYU would be one. They have a huge endowment. They have a national following. And if you consider BYU a free agent until it actually inks with the Big 12, I know that's supposed to happen here, and it's on the draw. It's tentatively going to happen. But until that officially does, BYU would have to be mentioned as well.
For the Pac-12, is there any chance, because we saw what the Big 12 did in Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, and they went out and they took out of the AAC. Is there potential for the Pac-12 to take out of the Mountain West? Is there potential for them to go get Boise State, go get Colorado State, San Diego State, and try to salvage their conference?
Absolute last resort for them. And I almost think like Stanford and maybe Cal would rather go independent than do that. Stanford had a lot of trouble agreeing. The Pac-12, back when the Pac-8 sort of started all this back in the late 70s, and they pulled the Arizona schools in 78. Stanford fought that back then because academically they've got this thing. I don't know if there's any way Stanford would want to be in a league with some of those other, just the arrogance of them, but that's the way they are. And Cal might be something the same. So I think it's kind of unlikely unless it's just an absolute last resort to keep the league together. More than likely, if the Pac-12 tries, I think they're going to try to pull somebody out of the Big 12 to come in, and they would do that first before the Mountain West thing.
But basically, what I'm hearing is and I don't disagree with your sentiment by any stretch. You're basically saying the guys at the top of the Pac-12 that are left, it's different than the Big 12 merger with some of the AAC schools because they'll sort of turn their nose up at Boise State coming in there and Colorado State. Is that sort of the sentiment I'm hearing and understanding?
Yes, but I would say that's mostly a Stanford and Cal thing.
Okay.
It's mostly them, and there's a scenario that some people are floating that maybe Stanford and Cal just say this is sort of their exit out of big-time sports, and they say they don't like the nil stuff anyway. Maybe they just decide to throw in the towel, at least on football, and just keep basketball. I think that's remote as well because there's still a lot of money to be made, but that's one scenario. But yeah, it's Stanford has been sort of and Cal to some extent too, and a little bit UCLA too, have been a problem as far as expansion. So a Boise and Colorado State coming in the league with Stanford. Stanford's going to fight that. I'm not sure if they could scuttle the whole thing, but they would certainly fight it.
Bruce, I know we have so much breaking news with this, but also this week a death in the world of football. Marlon Briscoe, the first black quarterback in the AFL, he passed away this week. I know you've written about him. You know the story well. Born in Oakland and played college football in Nebraska, Omaha. And when I was a little guy, I thought the two biggest arms I had ever seen were watching television, just guys that could throw it out of the stadium. I thought Marlon Briscoe and Joe Gilliam from Tennessee State had as big as arms as anyone. I know you wanted to fondly remember Marlon Briscoe.
Yeah, and he's a little guy too, and but he could fire it, and he was. This should be a bigger story, and it should have been at the time. In our lifetime, it was, since it wasn't quite the impact of Jackie Robinson, but it's the biggest story of that sort of our lifetimes, Brett, and it didn't get as much coverage as it should have back in 1968, I believe, partly because it was an AFL team and a bad AFL team at that. If this had been with the Eagles or the Giants or the Bears in the NFL or the Redskins, it would have been a much bigger deal. But it was still a pretty big deal. The way that Briscoe became, there's a few things to unpack. I'll try to get to them quickly. It was a fluke that he even got a chance because Denver that year in '68, Lou Saban's second year, all the quarterbacks, Steve Tensey got hurt at the end of preseason. They brought John McCormick out of retirement. They had a couple of other quarterbacks, Jim LeClaire from the previous year, Joe DeVito from BC. None of them, after Tensey was hurt, could do a thing. They were terrible. Briscoe was a rookie still on the roster. So Saban had to give him a chance. Unbelievably, Briscoe, the only thing you could compare him to at that time was Fran Tarkenton, really. But, I mean, he came in and proved he could play, not just play, but play well. And he was sort of a look into the future. And he ended up playing about half of that season for Denver because Tennessee came back and he kept getting hurt. Mm-hmm. And Saban had to use him, and he was exciting as could be. He could get the ball downfield, like you say. Made a lot of big plays. He threw more TD passes, I believe, than Joe Namath even that year, or maybe just one less, playing in half the number of games. He threw 14. But I remember him being extremely exciting. And why Saban didn't keep him as quarterback the next year, for an old Bronco fan like me, I mean, I think, he was the answer because they didn't block that well, pass protect. A guy like Tennessee and Pete List came in 69. They were sitting ducks behind that offensive line. Briscoe was the answer, but we'll never know because Briscoe wanted to play quarterback. Saban said, no, I don't want you to play quarterback anymore. We want to use you in another position. Briscoe had a falling out with him. They traded him to Buffalo, and lo and behold, by 1970, he led the AFC in pass receiving. He was that good. He could have played in a number of positions. But he proved that a black quarterback could play in the NFL. And at that point in the modern history, there hadn't been one. The Bears in the early 50s had a fellow named Willie Thrower who played very sparingly, just a cameo. But the first, in modern era, the first black quarterback who played was Briscoe, and he proved it could be done. And I forever wonder if Saban just would have given him more of a chance the next year and following. He could have really revolutionized pro football many years. He was sort of a right-handed Michael Vick, sort of, and he was that dynamic. He was that dynamic. You see some of these old films of him. It's and one of the most exciting games ever against the Bills that year. You can see it up on YouTube with Charlie Jones describing it. It was unbelievable. They ended up pulling that thing out in the last minute, but he was the magician. He really was, and very important and often overlooked part of pro football history.
Bruce, I recently introduced Gabe and Bryant to another early 70s quarterback. Well, kind of. We play a game on Wednesday, and I introduced them to Cat Catlin and the New Orleans Saints.
Sure did. What a name.
Well, Cat Catlin from the movie, number one. Yeah, and that was Charlton Heston. And he, I used to joke for about until the Saints finally made the playoffs in 99 or 2000 that Charlton Heston is the only quarterback who ever quarterbacked the Saints into a playoff game. But then they finally got there in 99 or 2000. But that was a great movie. It really was number one.
Mm-hmm. Last thing for our guest, Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. No, you got it. Probably have a couple of picks for the MLB either tonight or over the weekend. What do you like?
Yes, I am actually in Houston right now.
Okay.
And
nice.
In fact, I'm actually at this Johnson Space Center, the Space Center. I just touched a moon rock.
There you go.
Saw Wally Schirra's outfit he wore in Apollo 7, so I'm really happy. I'm going to the Astro game tonight. I actually think they are a play tonight on the run line, about a plus 125 or so against the Angels. Lorenzen has been pitching poorly for the Angels lately. I would give the Astros a shot on the run line tonight. Okay. I might give Tampa Bay a shot with Kluber tonight. He hasn't pitched badly, 8 straight quality starts. It's been a bumpy week for Tampa Bay. They lost again yesterday, but Barrios on the Toronto side has had 2 awful efforts in a row. Tampa Bay usually doesn't have an extended losing streak. I think they bounce back tonight. So I could see that one. And, maybe an under Dodgers, Blake Snell, and Gonsolin going tonight. Gonsolin's been great this year. The Padres, again, couldn't score runs against the Dodgers last night. This thing's sitting 7.5, so I could maybe see an under there. Mikolas, by the way, pitching very well for the Cardinals lately. Maybe on the run line against the Phillies, plus 120 or so.
Awesome stuff as always. I know our listeners are going to want to find more of you. Where can they do that?
Check us out online, goldsheet.com. I'm going to try to find the Big 64 story I wrote back in 2010, and if I can do that, I'll post it up sometime in the next week at our website. But until then, you can go there to get our baseball picks every day. Goldsheet.com. My picks are up there. They're also at Vegas Insider and DonBest.com.
Awesome stuff. You have a good 4th. Thanks, Bruce.
Have a good 4th, guys.
Thank you, Bruce Marshall at Johnson Space Center in Houston, touching moon rocks. Isn't that great? It's time for our Gould Salon and Spa segment. And I've got to get more NASA moon landing stuff in way back Wednesday. But time now for our Gould Salon and Spa style segment at Gould Salon and Spa. They've been turning heads since 1932 and a family operation. It's always been kind of male dominated with the Goulds family, but now a daughter, Philip's daughter, back in town. So glad to have her there. So glad to have her as part of this generation of children and grandchildren continuing Mr. Sam Gould's dream. His dream was to provide his clientele with a truly professional and unique fashion experience, and they have. And a family affair. They throw their everything into this business. And recently, with all the people in town for the Elvis premiere, they were working with all the Hollywood and movie star types at that. Those people knew who to call. They knew to call for style. They called Gould's. And they have all the locations never far from a Gould Salon and Spa. Body treatments, massages, facial, nail care, Meta Spa services, and you can get it all and find out about it all at GouldSalonSpa.com. That's where you can get the gift card, the perfect size, the perfect color for anyone, male, female, dad, mom, grandma, everybody. It's the perfect size. Get that Gould's gift card, and people will be delighted with that. A commitment to providing a unique fashion-forward experience and 90 years of distinction. And my Gould style for this Friday afternoon, it's Greg Sankey. And look who he's battling with, all these new commissioners. He's the old head in the room, and he's the one that saw the future, and he's the one that everybody's playing catch-up to.
Mm-hmm. My Gould style, it goes to a guy who just got a whole lot of bread, got a whole lot of money last night, and I think the people in Memphis are very happy about it. John Moran. I've given it to him plenty of times since we've been doing the Gould style segment. But Ja, 5 years, $193 million. And really the face of the city of Memphis right now when it comes to pro sports, when it comes to the NBA. Have to give it up to him for what he's meant and finally cashing in on what he's meant for the city. Now, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, Brett and I have a discussion to have. We have to have a discussion about conference realignment, USC, UCLA to the Big Ten. What are the next dominoes to fall? Where does Notre Dame end up? We talk about all that next on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
You have opinions?
You bet.
Of course you do. Everyone does. Hit us up on the AutoZone listener line, 360-8255, 360-8255.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, They even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only, $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you'll be speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
In the alley since 1948, the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see everything kind of getting back to normal.
Brett, we've done a lot of ads before, but maybe it's time for me to do a recap. We have valet parking at the end of our alley on Monroe. On Fridays and Saturdays, we give away our wonderful red beans and rice until it runs out. And you know we like to do things local. Miss Barbara Jackson of O Taste and See has been making these wonderful chess and pecan pies, that's pecan, not pecan, and key lime pies for dessert. And we just started serving this wonderful gelato from Sweet Magnolia Gelato Company. And just to remind everybody, you don't eat cheese and sausage with a knife and fork. You take a cracker, you put sausage on it, you put a piece of cheese on it, a little mustard or a little sauce, take a bite and chase it with the pickle. Brett, we've always been the place for all gatherings, whether they're corporate, rehearsal dinners, retirement parties, birthday parties, whatever. We seat anywhere from 20 people to 250 people. And oh, by the way, we are now open for lunch from 11 o'clock on Tuesday through Saturday. Come see us at the Rendezvous.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
I think this is the best chicken I ever had.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Gabe and Stats back with you. I'm Gabe, he's Stats. Now, start the musical chairs when it comes to realignment and when it comes to what college football, college athletics is going to look like from a conference perspective. USC, UCLA, we talked about it yesterday and a little bit today with Bruce Marshall. They're leaving for the Big Ten as early as 2024. Move is just about already done. One thing, Brett, that I've noticed when we get into these conversations, Texas and Oklahoma was one as well. There's two things people need to remember. One, this realignment stuff doesn't stop. It's a churning wheel. No matter, there's going to be time. It takes a while to get these moves done sometime, but it's always a churning wheel. Two, I think you know the reasons these are done, but some people seem to ignore it. It's money. It's TV contracts. The Big Ten expansion is entirely driven by Fox, in my opinion. That's what happened. And when you look at the SEC expansion last year, it was more or less agitated and brought about because of ESPN. So in all of these conversations, when we talk about realignment, when we talk about things that are going to happen in the future and make predictions, follow the money, and you'll end up in the right spot.
Very well said, and it's so true. There's nothing altruistic out there. There's not anybody trying to win the virtue award. They're trying to make more money. Now, one thing I am hearing, and I'm here to just as roundly reject it as I possibly know how. I hope in a nice way. Nobody's getting kicked out of any league. I hear some that are almost wishing more than their team getting in a better league. They want to see some other teams kicked out of their current league.
No.
It's not happening.
That's not how that works.
In no league, it is not happening. No matter what their stadium size is or their history of winning on the field, it is not happening. And remember this, and when I say this, try to say it in a nice manner. I do not mean it as boorish as it comes off. This has zero basketball component to it. Zero.
The basketball component's a plus in these situations, right? It's football. It is football driven.
It's football.
We know this. But like
Kansas talking about going to the Big East and diminishing their football to save their basketball.
That being said, though, the Big Ten getting UCLA, basketball didn't hurt. They were totally fine with taking on that basketball program. This is the biggest basketball program. I mean, historically.
They took USC's too, and it's historically enough.
No, I understand that. But it's a plus. The basketball's a plus, but it's moved by football. That's the point you're making, and I understand it. But also, Ross Dellinger from SI is reporting, and this is where I'm coming with this. I don't think the Big Ten's done with expanding. I don't think anything's on the, week or 2 week out horizon. I think this would be months, if not years, before they do these things. But there are other teams from the Pac-12 that requested yesterday as well to be part of the Big Ten. They weren't immediately let in. But the two names that keep coming up, Oregon and Washington. And I think they could likely be among them, and I think they could likely eventually be part of it. And when you look at the immediate when you look at the markets that could potentially be attracted by the Big Ten, Washington and Oregon would account for some massive markets. And you look at the Big Ten as a whole, they would hold New York, L.A., Chicago, Philly. They could potentially get out to San Fran, make it D.C. If they wanted to bring in Arizona State eventually, which is probably a little bit less likely. They could take Phoenix. And with Washington, you get Seattle. So the Big Ten, these moves are the start of more moves. And I think what they've done is cornered the market on some of the best sports markets in the United States.
Almost a professional footprint. I mean, that's the envy. Imagine a startup league. Imagine the AFL back in the day starting in these markets with these teams. I mean, Lamar Hunt and Bud Adams and Ralph Wilson could have only dreamed to be in all these places, and now a college conference will be. And look at Washington and Oregon, and look who they're both going to have to throw overboard and sacrifice. Washington's throwing over Washington State, and Oregon's throwing Oregon State over the side.
They have no issues.
Just as OU threw Oklahoma State over the
They have
overboard.
no issues with doing it as long as they land on their feet somewhere. They're fine with it.
Sadly, none. A&M didn't throw anybody overboard. They just thought they were finally doing something independent of Texas. And then they look up and Texas is right back at the doorstep.
All right, now, Big 12. What do you think about their chances at truly poaching Pac-12 teams? The names that come up in this: Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado.
I think pretty good. Bruce made the great case. He thought that Cal and Stanford would go independent before they would go kind of something in Middle America in the Central Time Zone. But Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, they could get those teams and make it go. Now, what do they lose? I keep going back to Oklahoma State. Yeah, I know out there kind of in real or perceived dusty old Stillwater, but all that money, all that T. Boone Pickens money, and what they have accomplished in football. Can they go to somebody and go, we don't care what number we are, but in a 24 team SEC Big Ten, let us be a part of it.
So I open this conversation with follow the money, and generally you can do that. Now, when you're talking about the Big 12 poaching Pac-12 teams, and namely Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado. And Colorado, I think, would be, again, I always liked their fit in the Big 12. When they went to the Pac-12, I was a little depressed. I liked the old Big 12 days.
Yeah.
I've told you about it a million times. Now, I just get confused if the Big 12 has the clout to do that. Because you look at the potential estimated payouts per year in football. The estimated payouts for 22-23. Big 12, $40 million a school. Pac-12, $34 million a school. Yes, the Big 12 is willing and can pay more out to their member institutions. But the disparity is not crazy enough for me to immediately believe that the Pac-12 is going to fold on its face and the Big 12 is going to be the beneficiary of the Pac-12 folding.
Somebody folds, though, and I saw it with the Southwest Conference, and Bruce mentioned it, finally shut the door in 95 after Arkansas was out the door in this conference realignment. Gabe, on my 15th, 16th birthday, the idea of no Southwest Conference, you could not have convinced me of that. On my 30th birthday, Arkansas is in the SEC, and 3 years later, the Southwest Conference is dustbin of history.
But here's the point I'll make. Last time when we did this in 21, when Oklahoma and Texas said their goodbyes to the Big 12, want to leave for the SEC, the whole thing, we called the Big 12. We thought the Big 12 was over with. We thought the Big 12 was going to struggle.
That's true.
And people were calling for them to fold. So I see what you're saying, and I think there's potential for that. But I feel like it's too early to really make that distinction that the Pac-12 is going to fold on its face and the Big 12 will take over a lot of the teams that they had before.
You could even have a conference intentionally fold, intentionally throw the whole thing overboard, because that's the only way the ACC gets out of those grant fees.
Yes,
the ACC would almost have to. They would almost have to in-house a cabal. Let's fold this. Some of y'all head off to the Big 12. Some of y'all head off to the Big 10. Others head off to the SEC. But we've got to do this on the inside to beat the legal ramifications.
I still think the SEC's eyeing ACC schools, and Clemson would be at the top of that list, in my opinion. Now,
and Virginia and North Carolina.
Florida State, North Carolina. Florida State maybe a little less. I don't know where Miami would go in the grand scheme of these things. But I'm not ruling out the SEC poaching from the ACC here in the next couple of years, relatively soon. And, again, I think we're at that Power 2 stage. Are you sort of on that same page? Big Ten, SEC are going to be the most powerful leagues. They're going to be the most powerful conferences that we've seen in college athletics ever.
What's that number? Is the number 20 each in the Power 40, or is it 24 each in a Power 48?
Ooh, that's a tough question. If you get to 20, why would you stop there? Like what would stop you from going to 24?
Exactly.
But yeah,
you might as well carve out the whole piece.
I am very confused on where it ends. Power 2 with 20-plus teams, Power 4 or 5 with just 16 to 20, and they expand and bring more people in. I'm lost. I'm lost on where we get to.
I know we're bumping the clock. I have heard today, and I've sensed it from you, and I heard it directly from Bruce. I've heard it from other of our hosts and interaction on our radio station today. A little more of a sense of gloom around the Tigers. Yeah. I still don't share that. I heard Dave still remain very optimistic, and it's not Homer. I'm with Dave. I'm still on the more optimistic front than I am pessimistic related to the U of M.
Me too. Now, but compared to how optimistic I was yesterday, I've sort of stepped back a little bit. I'm still optimistic. I still want to think good thoughts about it. And the one thing that kept me sort of on the optimistic side is the Pac-12, and of course they're going to say this in a release. But the Pac-12 put out a release saying that we have to explore expansion. We look forward to partnering with current and potential members. So I still think the possibility for expansion is out there for a group of fives to step into the Power Five. But I got to be honest with you, Brett. I have stepped down at least a rung or two when it comes to the Tigers, Boise State, and the whole 9 yards. I'm not as positive as I was yesterday.
Gabe, I'm stealing this from our friend Michael Katz at the Daily Journal in Tupelo, covers Ole Miss, and we had on from Omaha, and just a really quick-witted, bright, super sharp guy. He tweeted out last night, "Has anybody done a health and wellness check yet on Bill Walton?"
The Conference of Champions.
I've kind of thought about Bill Walton too. I know this weekend, again, a lot of people, you're doing it yourself this weekend. After you do that, then go back to where they've done it for so long and done it so well. Two great locations, the new Collierville Commissary at Houston Levy and Poplar, or the original in Germantown, and let them help you with the desserts for the weekend, like that great lemon icebox pie, the best I've ever had in my life, or the banana pudding. You can't do it at home like that. You can't do the ribs at home like that, but you're going to try this weekend. And after this weekend, get back to the commissary. And if you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs, the Memphis-style, slow. And start that feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales, the barbecue nachos, the smoked chicken wings. Look, get all those appetizers, even how you're doing at home this weekend or at the lake this weekend. Have the commissary appetizers and do your thing on your grill. Hopefully a big green egg. Everything at the commissary comes with all the sides like the beans, the slaw, the deviled eggs, the bread as well. And you can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. 901-754-5540, online at com in Collierville and Germantown. A great weekend to celebrate our country's birthday on Monday. Walker Taylor and his staff, so very patriotic and always conscious of these fun times and these fun birthdays, like July 4th for the United States of America. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com.
So Brett and I covered about all the bases there with the immediate realignment, except for one. We're going to talk about that when we come back, as we have to tell you what we think about Notre Dame, that big name, where they're going to land. We'll talk about that next on Sportstime with Gabe and Stats.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Trade-In Trade-Up event happening now through July 4th. Bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 50% trade-in bonus towards new Rogue ST Woods and Irons and Apex Irons. Both the Rogue and Apex families are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get your 50% bonus trade-in on Callaway Rogue ST and Apex Irons today. And while you're there, get custom fit for free. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We've all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, that's not possible. There are aerial pictures that can be taken every 4 years that can be used to measure most buildings, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof, or even if you need one, looking at pictures that could be 4 years old. If you'd rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, give us a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best service we know how to give. 5 Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. 5 Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hey, I got one of my best customers, Mark, here.
Hey, Montana.
Hey, Mark, tell Sports56 fans the deal of the century that I gave you at Sleep Cheap.
Yeah, I just bought the whole family some new mattresses. Our backs thank you. These are professional people to work with, good quality mattresses and box springs, and they under-promised and over-delivered. We got the Sports56 deal, the hybrid mattress and box springs regularly $1,000 for $599, and the wife and I got the king-size mattress normally $1,500 for $999.
Mark, it was a pleasure working with you. Glad you and your family are happy with the quality of our memory foam. Now I'm extending this manager suite deal to my fellow Sports56 fans. Check out our 3 locations, 6330 Winchester, Memphis, 1069 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, and West Memphis, 1701 North Missouri Street. Also wanted to let you know Sleep Cheap mattress sets starting at $199 to $4,000. We have twin XLs, queen, king, California king, we got it all. And again, guys, take advantage of this sweet Sports56 hybrid mattress queen box deal. Normally $1,000, we got it for $599. We also have the king, normally $1,500, selling for $999. See y'all at Sleep Cheap.
Make sure to stop by 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill for the best home-cooked lunches around Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Meatloaf, baked chicken, catfish, and more, along with yummy veggies. Plus a great brunch on weekends from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. They have plenty of TVs to watch sports, and they have live entertainment on the weekends. Join them on Sundays for Left Turn Sunday NASCAR watch parties with beer and food specials. 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill, voted the #1 sports bar in DeSoto County. Getwell Road, South Haven.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Bon appetit.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Papa was a Rolling Stone, but now I got Rolling Stones in the bezel. Ice. Mama at home all alone, hustling, trying to keep this shit together. Mama. Young, smoking on gas, I'm living too fast, my foot on the pedal.
Back in to wrap up hour number 2 on Sports Time. We Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe, he's Stats. Now, we've talked a lot about realignment, but the big thing, we have to talk about the Great White Buffalo. We have to talk about Notre Dame and where they could potentially end up. And, Brett, I know you said it off the top of the show, but you think the SEC could potentially be in the sweepstakes to go ahead and get Notre Dame?
I do, Gabe. I think they will. And we were going to do big brands in American sport yesterday. We're going to get to that, but we had so much news we couldn't get to it. And I have said, hey, I've stolen it totally from Tony Kornheiser on PTI. He says the 2 biggest brands in American sports history, it may be a little scratched up right now, but over the long march of history is New York Yankees baseball and Notre Dame football. And I mostly, if not entirely, agree. I think Alabama football is all even good in the 20s, the 1920s. It's always been good, and it's always kind of had a national profile. And it's the biggest, possibly the biggest brand in the history of the sport to go into the biggest college football brand out there, and that is the SEC. Whether people like that or not, it is.
Now, I have a different thought than you. I think the SEC is entirely possible. I'm not going to say it's not. But I think that the fit is substantially better in the Big Ten. Good school academically. The Big Ten likes AAU schools. That's the whole thing they do. But when you look at their rivalries year to year, I think that USC, right?
Yeah.
Purdue, Michigan State, they've had their deals with Michigan. I think it's a better fit.
They've had their deal with Penn State.
And with their deal with Penn State. I think that ultimately Notre Dame ends up in the Big Ten. But I think we're both on the same page that they have to end up in a conference with where we're going with football. And the thing I had to look up that really threw me off is Notre Dame, we talk about their TV contract with NBC, and everybody thinks, oh, well, that's the reason they're on their own. You know, they have their own contract. They don't have to worry about sharing it with anyone else. They get a whole bunch of money on their own. I looked up the number, Brett. $15 million a year is all they get for their TV rights deal with NBC. What? Like that doesn't do anything when you look at the grand scheme of what the Big Ten is about to get, and you see what their TV rights deal is going to be. It's being estimated at $1.1 billion annually for the Big Ten when they re-up their rights fees. So Notre Dame, not only does it make sense to join a conference monetarily, but I think as far as play on the field and where we're going with the higher-ups and who's going to run college football, we're going to have to be aligned with conferences. We're not going to be able to have independence.
Gabe, that's great stuff, and that's great linkage, and you tie in their TV deal, and you could almost mark the modern upheaval, the modern realignment. There's no start date and there's no finish date, but what kind of kicked this off was the Notre Dame NBC deal. Then right behind that was Arkansas to the SEC with South Carolina, the dissolution of the Southwest Conference. But that Notre Dame TV deal with NBC, that kind of started this modern craziness.
And it's not even that much when you look at the grand scheme of things. $15 million a year.
That's an amazing number.
That's insane. And it runs out in 2025. The Big Ten potentially is running. The deal's going to run out in 2023. They're going to re-up for $1.1 billion annually as a conference. That's and it could be with NBC, by the way. We'll see, or Fox. They're going to have some leeway, and they're going to be able to throw those numbers around to those TV carriers. Now, let me send you to the right place to go get some barbecue in the city of Memphis, and that's Central Barbecue. Open daily, and there's 4 locations. The locations are in Midtown, Central Avenue, Central Barbecue. You do the math there. That's the original location. Downtown by the Civil Rights Museum, one on Summer, and then one on Poplar that I always go to. You can order delivery as well on eatcbq.com from that Poplar location, but they have a good outdoor, it's state-of-the-art. And obviously it's a little bit hot, but they have fans out there. They have turf for your liking. It's enjoyable out there on that patio. But whether you want turkey, chicken, pork, brisket, some type of beef, if you want gluten-free options, vegetarian options, Central Barbecue has that. And their sides are fantastic. You get the mac and cheese. You can get the greens. I mentioned the gluten-free options. The slaw's fantastic. And they have all the different types of sauces. Smoke is their sauce at Central Barbecue as well. Now, if you're looking to ship that barbecue anywhere in the U.S., I know a lot of people don't get to enjoy this. Their extended family doesn't get to enjoy the amount of barbecue that we get on a daily basis. You can go to eatcbq.com. You can click on that shipping tab. You can send that to anyone in the U.S. If you want to send it to yourself, send it to yourself. Also, as far as catering is concerned, you want lunch or dinner for 15 or more people, call this number, and they will get catering for you. 901-527-9990. Again, 901-527-9990. But if you're just looking for a lunch and dinner every single day, you know where to go. Open daily, Midtown, downtown by the Civil Rights Museum, Summer, and then Poplar. You pop your head in, you will see me. Central Barbecue. Smoke is their sauce. Hour number 2 in the rear view. One more hour left in the week, and we have a bunch to get to. But coming up next, it's July 1st. We're halfway through the year. We get to our top 5 local and national sports stories of the first half of the year, and we will talk about our top newsmaker locally and nationally as well.
13 platinum records, over 65 million albums sold worldwide. This is Poison. Brett, Bobby, Cece, Ricky. The original lineup returns. Sunday, July 3rd. Center stage at Silver Star Casino. Tickets on sale now. Visit PearlRiverResort.com. Don't miss the party of the year. Poison World Tour 2022.
What do you mean your Central Barbecue belt?
Well, I have 2 different kinds of belts. One for regular days, one for Central Barbecue days.
What's different about the Central Barbecue belt?
It's bigger, duh.
So you're saying on the days when you go to Central Barbecue, your waistline actually grows?
Doesn't everyone's?
I never thought about it.
That's weird. I mean, you go in, you have an appetizer of 3, then smoked wings, barbecue nachos, sausage and cheese plate, or all of them. Then you get your main course, maybe some pulled pork, ribs, beef brisket. Then you're going to want some sides with that action, like homemade potato chips, best greens in town, potato salad. Then it's on to dessert, peanut butter cake, banana pudding. Trust me, your waistline will expand.
Mine would explode.
You got to train, man.
It's time to vacation at home with Family Leisure. That's right. Enjoy a vacation in your own backyard with a little help from Family Leisure. Like play gyms and trampolines, they're now $500 off. And those trampolines, by the way, they've got that mesh on the side, so trampolines are now safe and you'll be the hit of the neighborhood. They've got hot tubs in stock and ready to go, and you can get up to $1,000 off when you pick them up. All kinds of do-it-yourself pool specials, like savings of up to $1,500 on all in-stock pools when you pick it up and install them yourself. And if you're looking for patio furniture, then stop on in, because they have tons in stock and they're ready for you to pick up. So get ready for that vacation at home with the help from Family Leisure. Family Leisure's Vacation at Home sale. It's happening right now at Whitten Road and I-40, where family and fun truly do come together.
Don't miss Chris Pratt in the terminal list.
Lieutenant Commander James Reese, can you outline the details of your mission?
It was a setup. They knew we were coming.
Nothing in this file adds up.
From Antoine Fuqua, director of Training Day.
Answers or blood? Blood. Stay off my list.
The Terminal List. New series, now streaming on Prime Video.
How do you grow your business without spending more on credit card fees? Call Blake Jones, your local Mid-South Advanced Merchant Services representative. He works with your business to help it grow instantly. Small business owners already have enough cost. Let Blake Jones help you lower your credit card processing cost risk-free. Absolutely no cost to you, the small business owner. Call 662-408-9324. That's 662-408-9324. Call Blake Jones today and start saving money tomorrow.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
I couldn't believe it either, but that thing runs like new.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
My nail tech knows how to keep it a little secret. I don't wish for my success, I speak it. I caught a buzz and you did too, but you...
Final hour of the week. We will be back on Tuesday. We'll be celebrating Independence Day and the 4th of July. We want everyone to do the same and to do it safely and have a lot of fun. However you're doing it this weekend, have a lot of fun with it. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales. You can follow them online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. You can go there and read all the testimonials and see all the very pleased customers for their great product at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. All the cars thoroughly examined, checked out bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model, and you'll be treated like family at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, the opposite of high-pressure sales tactics. They just don't do that. They do want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a world today that time really matters. That's why they have it so simplified and so streamlined. You find the car you want, test drive that car. Within 45 minutes, you're out of there. Credit approved, paperwork completed, everything done at 5704 Goodman Road. Happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July from everyone at DeSoto Auto Sales. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
All right, we are at the halfway mark of 2022. And what we do.
How'd that happen?
That happened quick, didn't it? We had some buzzer beaters, too, as far as our local storylines and national storylines.
Off the top rope in the final hours of the year, of the first half of the year.
Yeah, KD asking for a trade, and then the USC UCLA joining Big Ten. Yeah, those qualify as buzzer beaters for the first half. Now,
Jaren's injury.
Yeah, that's true. What we're going to do is get to our top 5 local and national storylines, and we're going to talk about newsmakers. Let's start locally, and let's start with the newsmaker. Brett, you go ahead and go first.
The newsmaker for me, with literally into the early days of January and that team getting red hot, him propelling them through the 52-point night, the shot at the buzzer from the corner that was, like a gymnastic act that night, to the playoffs, sadly to the injury. That was news making, sadly, about the injury. It made big news. And then last night, but as the clock's winding down, maybe not a countdown in Times Square at the half year, like we do it at the end of the year. Maybe we don't need to just have one of those. It's Ja Morant.
Yeah,
22 years old and owns a town.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you with Ja Morant. And also the one thing that just continues to amaze me about him, not just that community outreach, but he makes our local headlines, the things that make news in Memphis, they're now on the national scale too. His contract's right here on ESPN. It's the first thing you see. And his highlights are right there at the very front, leading ESPN. So it's just different than anything we've ever done.
He's normal. He's fun. He's new age with the social media. He's old school, getting it with the community outreach and wanting to make his hometown. He tweeted last night, "Memphis is my home," to make his hometown better.
Now, Bryant, who's your top newsmaker locally?
I'm going to go with Penny Hardaway.
Okay.
From turning the team around, making the tournament, then getting some big-name transfers like Kendrick Davis, and then obviously with everything with the IARP, there's been a lot of news around the Tigers, and a lot of that has to do with Penny Hardaway.
Yes.
Good and bad.
Yeah, yes, good and bad. But yes,
great point.
He is the newsmaker. Bryant, you go ahead and rock through your local stories.
All right, like y'all said, a lot of these have come in the recent days, and a lot of them are similar to each other. So I went number 5, Ja's extension last night. Obviously, it's huge, locking him up on a long-term deal. 4, I'll go with Kendrick Davis choosing the Tigers. After all those players leaving, that was huge to get him. 3, I'll say Tigers making the tournament, that tournament run, playing Gonzaga, but then also tied in there just days after all those players leaving, hitting the transfer portal, deciding to go to the draft. Number 2, I will go Tigers IARP case, and then number 1, I'll say Grizzlies with their postseason run.
I got you. That's a good one. That's good.
Now, Gabe, did you go with Ja as well as newsmaker first time?
Yes, I went Ja. I absolutely went Ja.
But Brian, you answered the question, newsmaker. Sometimes that's not always good. So I'll get to some of a lot of this is good for Coach Hardaway, but some of it in that one, not as much. Number 5 for me, the Jaren injury. Yesterday, that news dropped because that will affect the second half. That could end up being bigger in the second half than maybe any of the other of my top 5 local for the first half. And we got to keep up with this. Let's see the end of the year when we go top 10 and expand it out. How many of these from local or national hold on to the end of the year? Number 4, we don't have to talk about the drought anymore. Penny Hardaway gets an NCAA tournament win and got it easily. Really put it to a good Boise State team. And, but for playing, I think, a juggernaut in Gonzaga. I know it didn't end well for Gonzaga. Who knows what that tournament run could have been like. But no more talk about NCAA tournament droughts. A little bit like Phil Mickelson in that first major. When he got it, he broke through. He wasn't just playing for one. He kicked the door down and got a bunch of them. And I think Coach Hardaway is going to do the same. Number 3, the highs and lows of the playoffs, whether it's in a winning series against Minnesota. Gabe, that night you and I are sending back the ridiculous text to each other about it's over. They couldn't do anything. A regular season mirage. blah, blah, blah. They win that game that night. We look foolish to ourselves. I'm telling everybody else how foolish we look. And the Heisman game, a playoff series, then you win it against Minnesota and a real high. Then you lose it against Golden State. And, man, it hurt. It hurt for a while. You know, I had trouble letting it go. Number 2 for me, that Thursday night. After that SMU loss, the penny blow up, the penny dust up. I think he was provoked. I think the questioner wanted that reaction. Well, he got it, and that turned the Tiger season around. Number 1 for me, and I came in the next day, so glad I was there. Ja and the 52, really Ja, but the 52-point performance, I'm so glad I got to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you know what? That's where I'm going to start my list. At number 5 for me, I have Ja getting 52 versus the Spurs. Because you talk about high points of the season. Yes, that was one of them, but they ended up in a postseason run, and that certainly trumps that. And but there's been a lot of moments during the Ja Morant time here, the short time he's been in Memphis, where you say, okay, we are here. Like this is legitimate. This is a superstar. This is a star. Unbelievable. But that night in particular, it left no doubt. I mean, you just had nothing that you could say that added on to what Ja Morant is to this city, and I thought that was fantastic. 4, I go the penny blow-up. Yeah, I'm right there with you. The penny blow-up was huge news, massive, and I do think it turned the Tiger season around. But I also think, to this day, it was a stupid question, and I kind of agree with the sentiment. Number 3, I go ESPN comes to town for Grizzlies Nets. Again,
ooh, good one, real
nationally recognized, and it's because of Ja Morant, and it's because of what this core has done put together. But that was awesome, and to see, you know, Stephen A. in town, Malika Andrews, Kendrick, all these guys in town in Memphis to take in what this young Grizzlies team was doing. That has to be up there. 2, Memphis basketball ends their postseason drought. They beat Boise State in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and really, I think the turnaround in that season was spurred by what Penny did and blowing up, and they played way better. They got the injury, some of the guys off injury back, and just finally got over that hump. And I know Penny Hardaway was, in a lot of ways, and I know the IARP case and everything else has transpired since, but I know that was vindication for Penny Hardaway to finally get in there and win a game. And number 1 for me, Grizz postseason run, getting a number 2 seed. I couldn't believe what I was seeing about halfway through the year. They started, I think, 10-10 or 9-9, somewhere around there, 9-10, and Ja goes out, and they just started winning. They couldn't stop winning, and you started to realize, wow, this is a go-for-it year. This is a go-for-it team. They are beating the likes of the Warriors during the regular season, the Nets. They didn't care. They were beating the Lakers. They consistently got going, and then once you get into the postseason, it was all about, okay, win a series. Take that step. Win a series. They won a series and then gave the eventual champion all they could really, really ask for, right? They sort of pushed them to the brim, even though Ja Morant was out. So Grizz postseason run gets number 1 for me. All right, on to national. We'll start with newsmakers.
Right.
I'm going to go with Kyrie Irving from the start of the year to is he going to get the vaccine to, well, they waived the mandates. Will he be able to play? Maybe not, maybe. Then, of course, in the offseason, we all know what happened just recent days.
Yep.
So I have him as my top newsmaker, easily.
That is good stuff. Because he was out there, and it's not all newsmakers not always favorable. That you had your thinking cap on there.
Well,
I didn't do that well, Gabe. Go ahead, Gabe.
You know what? Instead of Kyrie Irving, I went the Nets as a whole. The Nets were talked about start to finish. We're talking about the 6-month period. Kyrie Irving, KD now, and by the way, that was a buzzer beater. There's a buzzer beater right there. KD asking for a trade. I mean, that's unbelievable to even think about. But the Nets are at the top. And it's funny because do they really own headlines locally on the NBA front? Local talk radio is very into the Knicks. The fandom in that city is very into the Knicks. But nationally, they made the most news to me.
I went Steph Curry, and I was so proud of us on the day that we batted around and debated it, that we didn't need any vindication. We didn't need any justification. We didn't need a cherry on top for a playoff performance for his legacy, but he provided it. For those that needed it, he gave it. And now, instead of talking about he's never been MVP, we're talking about, does he crack into an all-time top 10? We know who the number one outside shooter is all time, and it's him.
And he's also in that conversation of Magic Johnson. I mean, Magic Johnson or Steph Curry, who's the number one point guard?
That's a good league.
That's a damn good league to be in.
I mean, it's such a good league. Magic Johnson would tweet out, Steph Curry's a really good player.
Yeah, he would. He would. Even though you still think somebody runs that account for him, which I can't even get. I don't even understand.
I do, and I think they're almost having their laugh at us with just the most innocuous. Today is July 1st.
I don't know. If he pays someone and has someone do his social media for him, he's wasting money. Brian, go ahead through your stories.
I'm going to go number 5. I'm going to go Travis Hunter picking JSU over Florida State. Number 4, thank you. Number 4, I'm going to go Nick Saban versus Jimbo. Still waiting for them to get into a boxing ring.
There you go.
3, KD requests a trade. 2, LIV. Somebody say LIV. We got a leaderboard update. Dustin Johnson currently 8 under in Portland. Carlos Ortiz right behind him at 7 under. And then number 1, realignment from the SEC to the Big Ten. It's all over the place. Even the Big 12, throw them in there. It's all over the place.
Yes, it is all over the place.
All right, you guys know, don't make me laugh and move around because I'm trying to keep this mic against my shirt, and you're making me laugh. Number 5 for me, the miraculous recovery, and he played all 4 days, and he made the cut. Number 5, Tiger Woods at Augusta National. Number 4, the realignment, SC and UCLA to the Big Ten. Number 3, it was in this calendar year, and he had to have it, and he had to go through him and them to get it, and in the rematch he did. Kirby and the Dogs beat Bama. Number 2, Steph and the Dubs. Number 1, and Gabe, I do not enjoy doing this. We're talking newsmaker.
No.
We're talking news stories. The worst person in the country, maybe just in general, but certainly in sports, Stan Kroenke takes them both.
I don't want to.
Lombardi Trophy and Lord Stanley's Cup on his yacht today.
I'm depressed with you bringing that up. You didn't have to do that.
I know.
You decided to, though. I get it. I understand. At my expense. It's okay, Brett. It's all right. It's okay.
I loathe him. I think he should change his name. He got too good a name at birth. Kroenke.
Number 5 for me, and I am kind of surprised neither of you had this on yours. Tom Brady retires and unretires. How'd that not make any lists? Tom Brady.
It was number 6.
The GOAT.
6 on
number 7 on mine.
Yeah, retires and unretires. That has to be up there for me. 4, and it was your number 5, Brett. Tiger Woods returning to golf at Augusta National. Just to play the Masters. I don't care how he played in the grand scheme of things. And yes, he's had to take some time off. He's going to come back, but for him to a year out of a crush injury on his leg and the hurt he went through for that year. For him to play golf again at all was miraculous to see, and without question was that week's top story, and no one could take their eyes off of him on the golf course. Number 3, the big buzzer beater, USC and UCLA join the Big Ten. I mean, I wish I could say I didn't see it coming, but when it comes to money, and it comes to college athletics, and it comes to realignment, I know what this means. And USC and UCLA, I think, will create some very good matchups in the Big Ten. 2,
and it was buzzer beater from maybe not from midcourt, but maybe a step or 2 inside midcourt, right at the horn.
2, Georgia breaks through after 41 years with Stetson Bennett, the Rush chairman, at quarterback. Of all the Georgia teams that I thought would be able to get this done through Mark Richt, through Kirby, I did not think that Stetson Bennett was going to be the quarterback of the team that finally broke through. Oh my God, Matt Stafford over the years. I mean, of all the guys,
Jake Fromm.
Of all the guys, Stetson Bennett gets there, and after 41 years, and Georgia, again, we'll see what happens next year. Lost 15 guys, and that defense was so talented, and they just had so much NFL talent up and down that roster. Number one for me, Warriors return to the promised land after their 2019 injuries. KD ended up getting hurt. Obviously, he left. But Klay Thompson with a torn ACL, then Achilles to follow that. Steph Curry had never won Finals MVP. He finally gets that. But they had a 18-win year, 20-win year mixed in there in 2020. And for them to, after a year they got knocked out in the play-in by the Grizzlies, to get past the Grizzlies, to get through and win the thing, I thought it was sensational, and I thought it was the best story we've seen in this 6-month period. Now, granted, I'm not a big fan of Warriors fans still. I still think that the Grizzlies Warriors spats on Twitter still rub me the wrong way. But that headline, you can't beat it. I don't think.
I'm going off the grid here. I didn't prepare y'all for this. If you want to resist, that's fine. Flat letter grade for sports in this first half of the year. What would you give it?
B, flat B. Well, you're saying flat. You can't do pluses, minuses. I'll give it a B.
Nope, because that gets into too nuance.
I'll give it an A.
There you go.
Brian, I do too. And there aren't many times that I wouldn't give a first or a second half. Now, this is our half. This is my half of the year. And I almost always give this half an A because it has all my favorites. It has college football, has professional football, has the October baseball playoffs, even has we'll have a President's Cup thrown in there at the beginning of college basketball. I love the November and December of college basketball and the tournaments and the intersectional games and the big, rivalries, non-conference games played around the country. Start the Grizzlies. There aren't many times that I wouldn't give a half of a year because I do love it so much. But this one gave us a lot. Whether we liked it or not, it gave a L.A. Rams Super Bowl win over Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. Now, locally, one we didn't bring up, and I'm curious where this would rank, if it would make your top 10. What do you think about the Grizzlies and their 70-point win, the biggest blowout in the history of the NBA over the Thunder? Does that get anywhere on the list? Top 10, maybe?
That was 6. I had Tom Brady at 7. That one was 6.
Is that right?
Yeah, I had to check my notes.
Yeah. Let me see your notes, actually.
It's my gambling tips for today.
What gambling tips do you have?
Strikeouts and stuff.
One of my favorite tweets
You gave me a good one. Thank you for Julio Urias the other night.
Always.
And I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'm going to get Blinking Eye Guy, and I'm going to tweet out checking notes. No, you're not checking anything.
Blinking Eye Guy.
That's a little emoji. That's a little eye guy.
I know, but you have the GIF. But you have a different one, right? That you like? No, like it's a. Is that still your favorite?
That or the Justin Timberlake blank
there we go.
Look.
There you go. Yeah. I was gonna say. I thought one had taken over. I thought we have talked.
That's my favorite. Before. Just that. Are you serious, man? Like the other day, the guy that blew around me in traffic at 90 and then stopped right beside me, and I gave him the Justin Timberlake look. Really?
You didn't give him the middle finger? Come on.
No.
You don't do that. You don't do that in traffic.
Out there in traffic, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm not provoking anyone.
And I don't provoke anyone, and I don't give anyone the finger. I was just being smart right there. When people do something,
cutting that look.
When people do something bad to you in traffic, though, don't you just want to look at them? You just want to see what they look like. You want to pull up, and you're like, "What?
Oh yeah.
What is your deal?"
Who's this guy?
Yeah. And also, if I ever cut someone off and make them honk at me, I try to avoid that confrontation because
you're looking down at the red light, just looking straight ahead.
Look straight ahead because you're wrong.
Y'all. Blew around me, not going less than 90, and then all but came to a full stop for me to get parallel to him, and then he was kind of cruising along beside me like he was the pace car, and I thought, come on, man, what are you doing?
Probably didn't know how fast he was going. Looked down and I gotta slow down.
It's a little weird.
That is a little strange. You gotta be careful with cars like that.
And I do not speed.
Yeah, at all. Come on.
He wanted to race you.
5 you're fine. 10 you're mine. Those are the rules I know.
Yeah.
No, Gabe. It's been my standard mantra. I drive too much to be spending money on speeding tickets and insurance going up. I can't do it. Fair. I never have.
Okay, but have you been pulled over for 5 over? Isn't that just sort of normal?
Well, I got pulled over a couple years ago on the last Friday of the year for going 60 and a 55 and got a ticket.
Last Friday of the year.
Yeah,
Last
they
Friday.
gotta get that quota
Got
up.
a ticket.
Last Friday of the year. That's the key thing there.
I went to court and the judge threw it out.
Yes, but that's so annoying that you even have to put up with that. 5 over. What in the world?
I sat down at 201 Poplar for 6 hours one day to beat that ticket.
Wow, you're stronger, man, than I am.
I'd just 6 hours. I'd just pay for it at that point.
I kind of enjoyed it.
You really
saw it all.
Well, that's true.
It was
saw
like
it all.
it
Bad.
was amazing.
Yeah, you're at 201. You saw a lot of bad stuff.
It was amazing.
Every which way things are going on, you got your eyes on something at all times. I mean, you're
TV
probably right.
crews are there.
Only time I went to
And
court
I
was
saw
up in one of those little towns up there. Nothing was going on, so a little different.
And I saw a friend of mine down there shooting for a local TV station. He said, "What do you?" A ticket got a 60 and a 55 on the 29th of December. He said, "Well, that's nuts."
Should have told him to make a story about it.
5 over.
No, I don't want to be on the news.
5 over. That's trash. That is trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually,
And-
but
and
they
I
usually
did.
do throw it out for that.
Well, yeah, but that's still trash.
Yeah.
To even pull someone over, take them out of their time of day, make him spend 6 hours at the
Invariably,
201.
the question, I said, "Officer, is there a problem?" He goes, "Yeah, you're speeding." I said, I'm sorry, I come through here all the time. What was I doing? He said, 60. I said, "What is it?" He said, 55. I said,
You got me.
I guess, yeah.
Do your job.
Yeah. You
He said, "I have to. It's a zero tolerance holiday weekend." I said, "That's fine. Write the ticket.
I would have
I'm going to court, whatever day
Yeah,
it
I
is."
definitely would have had to give him a look. Really?
Yeah, that's
You
the one
have
you
to?
give him a look.
No.
You have
No
to.
looks. No looks. He's
No,
doing his
I'm
job.
not going to be rude. I'm like, come on.
Really?
No.
Is you
Really?
serious?
Let's just give a warning.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake look, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to a break. When we come back, I want to have a discussion about the Grizzlies. Grizzlies, of course, signed back Tyus, signed Ja long term, Jaren Jackson out. They lost Kyle Anderson to the Timberwolves. A lot of things to talk about, and there's sort of a daily debate going on. There's a debate going on about what we should expect from this Grizzlies team going into next year. Do you think they will thrive, or do you think that they may take a step back? We'll talk about that and more when we come back on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey Patriots, Colin Johnston here from DeSoto Auto Sales. And it's time to put the can in American, because this month I can help you get approved. It's the 4th of July all month long. That means it's time to break free from past credit mishaps. Even if you've been told no in the past credit problems are no problem for us. I want to help you break free in a nicer, newer car, because I believe everyone deserves to drive a nicer, newer car. That's why I drafted my For the People credit approval process. Plus, my solution specialists are the American Dream Team. They can get almost anyone approved. So stop driving a car you hate, because I want you to be approved and find freedom in a nicer, newer car today. You could even drive for little to no money down. But hurry, this dynamite deal won't last long. I'm Colin Johnston, your All-American dealer for the people. New rides are popping on the lot daily. See all my explosive rides at DeSotoAutoSales.com. That's DESOTO Autosales.com.
Credit and down payment require bank approval. Negative equity may be refinanced. Offer absolutely expires on July 31st, 2022.
Golfers, swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the 4th of July sale. This holiday weekend, receive a 50% bonus trade-in towards Callaway, Rogue, ST Woods and irons, and Apex 21 irons. Buy any Cobra golf bag and receive a free Puma Pop Top mini speaker valued at $40. All Ben Hogan shorts are now $34.99. And from Bushnell, Tour V5 and Tour V5 shipped rangefinders are $50 off. Shop this weekend at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for these deals and more. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
You drove it, you love it. What more do you need to know?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
30 minutes left in the show and 30 minutes left in the week. Hit us up on the AutoZone listener line about anything we've talked about today. 901-360-8255, getting us on AutoZone. You can also message us on our social, Sports56 WHBQ, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm seeing some reports right now, or I guess tweets about Kevin Durant and the Grizzlies. Still some communication back and forth about a potential package. Obviously, don't hold your breath on the whole thing, but the Grizzlies are still involved in trade talks with the Brooklyn Nets right now.
Please make it so. I saw an NBA, was it Woj? It was someone of some major NBA note. It was Woj early this morning saying he still thinks off-Broadway, Smallville, small market that normally could not draft a player or could not sign a player like this in free agency would have to get lucky, could be the recipient of getting Kevin Durant through kind of this circuitous route. And he was all but saying Memphis. He never said Memphis.
Right.
But he was all but saying us.
Yes. Now, and again, I think the Grizzlies have trade pieces to move. I don't know exactly how it would shake out. Jaren Jackson Jr. would be and that would be a potential return piece that the Nets would want. And with the injury, you don't know how that would go through. But apparently, by all accounts, Grizzlies still involved in those conversations. Now, as far as the team right now and going into next year, obviously if the Kevin Durant thing happens, I think that my sentiment here would be completely wrong. But it feels like, for the most part, the Grizzlies feel close to done. Like they kind of want to run it back. Got Tyus Jones back. Signed John Morant long term. Obviously, the Jaren Jackson Jr. thing is out of the question. Because he's not going to be back until at least December, maybe January. But Kyle Anderson out the door. They drafted 4 guys, 2 or 3 of them that could sort of replace that Kyle Anderson role. What is your thought of the Grizzlies going into 22-23? And where do you think they stand? Coming off a 56-win year, second most wins in the entire NBA, and the second seed in the West.
Naturally, I want to see schedule. I want to see, if it's pretty easy takeoff, and want to see some road trips. Want to see the games that we know that the Grizzlies will be without Jaren Jackson. All that said, barring more injury, the baseline for this team going forward, if you can keep Ja Morant out there for 65 games north,
Yeah.
I think the baseline's 47 and up. Now, if somebody can tell me that Ja's only going to play 28 games next year, please do. If you can see into that crystal ball like that, let me. But just kind of everything being relative, I think this will always be a 47, 48, 49 baseline team.
Barring a KD move, though, it doesn't feel like the front office has officially said it's championship winning time. It doesn't feel like they've pushed the button to say next year we want to win a championship. This year I thought it was possible. It's new. You didn't know exactly the expectations, but it doesn't feel like.
But we didn't this time last year.
What do you mean?
We didn't think last year was going to be as close to being in contention as it ended up being.
But it still feels like the future-oriented, developmental approach with this Grizzlies front office, and I don't blame them for that.
Fight at a time.
But you thought that after 56 wins, second in the Western Conference, barely losing to the eventual champs, you thought, okay, that window's open. You got to take advantage of that window and go make a move. And it feels like between DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson, you lose two of your best wing defenders and guys that helped you offensively. There needs to be, in my opinion, an effort to replace. Now, I think their internal development is what they're banking on replacing it with. Zaire Williams was good in year one, 10th pick last year. I get it. But you have to understand, year two is a time for growth for a guy who's 20 years old. And you're basically, the way I see it right now, if everything sort of holds, it feels like there's Zaire Williams, Jake LaRavia, David Roddy. Those guys have to show up, and they're going to be asked to be rotational pieces. And I think there's growing pains with that as compared to guys in DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson who had proven it. Now, I'm not saying that LaRavia, Roddy, and Zaire can't replace those guys. The potential's there, and I think that the Grizzlies front office believes in them. But you have to understand, these guys are young, and they have to get more used to the NBA. And I think it's more of I think that roster-wise, on paper, especially with Jaren Jackson out, you're looking at regression. But I think it is, in their mind, and in the long run, I think it's for long-term progression. But the trust the process sentiment has been pretty big, I think, ever since the NBA draft and into free agency.
Let's call those young players, the young three.
Okay.
Zaire, Roddy, LaRavia. Let's call them the young three. Some of that is going to have to hit. What if it just hit by committee? Having the lights out week, and then the next week it was Zaire, and then the next week it's Roddy.
That's fine.
What if we did it by committee?
That's fine. That's totally fine. And I think, I totally expected Zaire to take a step, a leap. I expect that to happen.
Me too.
He's going to have to play 25-plus minutes a game. That's what he's going to do. He's going to be a big part of the rotation.
And be more than just corner threes.
Yeah, he's going to have to be a massive part of the rotation this year, whether you like it or not, because the one thing that jumps off the page, two-guard depth. It's just not there. Desmond Bane's awesome. And you got him with a late pick in the first round, and he's almost, all-star caliber guy. We'll see if he ever gets over the hump, but most improved type guy last year. Unbelievable, and I think he can do that again. One of the best outside shooters in the game we have today. But John Conchar is your only other pure two. If you go look at depth charts, he's the guy behind him. Do you really think that that's reasonable to go into the season as your bench two being John Conchar and getting 20 minutes a night? I don't think that is. Now, Zaire Williams could be an option there. He could take some two-guard minutes, I think, potentially, and we could see what happens with that. But the outside options are kind of dwindling on you if you're looking for free agent options. Joe Ingles was one that I think a lot of people had in mind, and he's already signed by the Bucks. Maybe a former Buck and Dante DiVincenzo. I would love to see him, but that's sort of a buy low option that you don't know what to expect off of a massive injury that he had. But I like that. So I think they have to make an effort to especially in the absence of Jaren, to find their shortcomings and improve them before we get to Summer League and into the season.
And remember, when I was team sit still, not knowing about the Jaron injury.
Right. And I understand sit still, and I get it. Even with Jaron in the lineup, but I still think the two-guard depth is lacking. I still think that.
Very much.
And you're still relying on very, very young guys to step into these roles and be rotational pieces, be your top 7 or 8 guys.
It's Brandon Clark's time, too.
It is Brandon Clark's time, but I'm curious how much this year we're going to have to see Xavier Tillman grow into being a very productive pro. He's been one, I think, so far. But I think Xavier Tillman's going to have to be a guy who bears the brunt of an open front court position, whether it be the 4 or the 5 if Steven Adams is off the floor, if Brandon Clark's off the floor. Xavier Tillman's going to have to be a rotational piece that is consistent.
And this organization has shown improvement. Tide for all these players, and we're going to need to see a couple of guys do that. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. All the cars are checked out, bumper to bumper, head to toe. Happy 4th of July and happy Independence Day from everyone at DeSoto Auto Sales to you and your family. You'll be treated like family at DeSoto Auto Sales by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales tactics whatsoever. Find the car you want, test drive that car, paperwork completed, credit approved, all in 45 minutes or less. They keep it that simple because they know we live in a world today that time really matters. Online at DeSotoAutoSales.com, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience every time at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Guys, I don't know if I've stressed this enough, though. I am fully bought in. I am a Dante DiVincenzo owner as far as the Grizzlies roster is concerned. Young guy,
former MOP,
25 years old, coming off an injury. Actually was really good when he came back with the Kings. Looks like he's recovered really well. But he was a starter for times with the Bucks in their championship year, and
big help.
I think they're shooting there, and I mentioned Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton on the way out. You need two-guard depth, no question. But also you add a guy who plays good defense on the perimeter and could be a big part defensively for you. And I don't think you don't have to pay him anything insane. He's coming off an injury. I think it's a buy low moment. And I don't know why a swing like that wouldn't be at least thought about if you're the Grizzlies right now.
I like it. I like him on part of that big Villanova championship team. I think that would be a good piece.
Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work out, like if it goes as bad as possible,
you're not going to have a lot in it,
and he's uncomfortable. Exactly. You're not paying him. You're not breaking the bank to go get Dante DiVincenzo. 25 years old. Good upside thought. We'll see what the Grizzlies actually do with their free agency as we progress. Now let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day and of the week. When we come back, Taco Bell Crunch Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Bellyacre's motto is City-Fied Farm Fresh. The goal is simple: provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the whole family. Two great locations, Regalia at 6130 Poplar and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Overton Square hours Sunday through Thursday 11A to 9P, Friday and Saturday 11A to 10P. Regalia Sunday through Thursday 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef. Sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. The burgers, so good, like the Daria or the Double Daria, and the melt in your mouth. And you have to try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand the Bellyacres team has developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the city. The goal at Bellyacres, to become even more sustainable as they grow. In Overton Square and in Regalia, the very best quality available in Memphis, burger shakes and smiles at Bellyacres.
It's time for another season of golf at Miramichi. You know the spot, 15 minutes north of downtown in Woodstock. I call it heaven. It's 330 acres of natural beauty, 7,400 yards of championship-level golf, but there are several different tee boxes which make it fun or competitive for every level of golf. And the practice facilities are as good as any country club, and every round of golf comes with a cart and complimentary range balls. You can really improve your game, and you'll love the prices too. Seniors can play Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for as low as $33. Again, the golf cart and the range balls are thrown in. The standard weekday rates are as low as $44. Friday, it's $50, and on Sunday, it's $55. You'll love the view from the terrace. You look out and see the best view in all of Shelby County. The whole experience, it's just fantastic. Go check it out yourself at Miramichi.
Spring has sprung at Dan West Garden Center with blooming annuals and perennials, trees and shrubs everywhere. It's important to keep your yard and garden healthy, so Dan West has a very knowledgeable staff to help landscaping to grass to garden care and create your dream garden. Dan West has beautiful flowers from perennials to blooming annuals, garden lovers, even heirloom tomatoes, and a wide selection of herbs. You name it, Dan West has it. With over 100 years experience, Dan West enjoys sharing gardening tips and taking your growing needs to the next level. Dan West, with 2 locations, 12061 Highway 64 in Eads and 4763 Poplar. Open 7 days a week. Make gardening fun and easy at Dan West Garden Center.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of product? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
This is a damn fine automobile, if you want my honest opinion.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
There's a set going strong, a lot of things going on. The man of the hour has an air of great.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
What I learned today is that Rudy Gobert is now a Timberwolf. And all it took was 4 first-round picks, 3 unprotected, Patrick Beverley, Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, Leandro Balmaro, and Malik Beasley. What was given up to the Jazz? If I'm the Jazz, I do that day. I do that every day of the week. In the Timberwolves, in return, get a guy in Rudy Gobert who I like, but paired alongside Karl Anthony Towns, your defensive lineups are going to be a little bit uncomfortable. If someone goes small on you, you will struggle. Now, I look at this return, Brett, and all I can think about, what is Kevin Durant going to get? What is he going to retrieve if Rudy Gobert retrieved all this?
He's got to bring a lot, and they can't settle for just a little. They have to get a lot for that kind of superstar. I learned today that Notre Dame, they are always, and in football they've always been the great whale that everyone wants to land. They've stayed independent all these years. The rivalries, the Big Ten's the best fit. Notre Dame and USC could be a conference game. We know how great that is in the middle of the year when it's at Notre Dame, the late in the year when it's at the Coliseum. Notre Dame in Michigan, Notre Dame in Ohio State. That's good stuff, but I want them in the SEC. I want that great brand with that great brand.
I think you might, again, that's my opinion, I think you might be out of luck. I think Big Ten has the inside track on them, but we shall see. What I could have done without Miles Bridges, of course, we talked about this yesterday. Miles Bridges, felony domestic violence over his wife. And her name is Michelle Johnson, and she posted on Instagram yesterday. And what I'm about to say is graphic, but it needs to be said, and it's sad. Apparently, Miles Bridges, in their confrontation, fractured her nose, her wrist, tore her eardrum, tore muscles in her neck, choked her till she went to sleep, and gave her a severe concussion. And apparently, and just the most heartbreaking part of the whole thing, you scroll over on her Instagram post, and it's their child that they had together. And their child is talking in detail about how dad was choking mommy and how dad was hitting mommy and not being nice. Miles did everything that he did to Michelle, and obviously, apparently, this is something that we have to see what happens with the case and everything. But apparently, did it all in front of his child, and
repulsive,
disgusting. There's not enough words to describe how I feel about this, but just awful and sad, very, very sad.
Could have done without 2 years since COVID rocked the world, rocked sports. We had empty buildings, limited crowds, and still have masked employees at the playoffs at FedEx Forum and the NBA. They were able to soldier on. They're able to pay this kind of money because they went to extraordinary lengths to keep the business afloat, to have the bubble, to finish the TV agreements, to turn around and have the quick start to the next year. They jammed everything in, but it had to be done. This is why they're able to pay that kind of money out, because they have that much coming in, and Adam Silver knew we got to do it. It's not going to be popular. It's not going to be easy. It wasn't cheap, but they assembled that bubble, and they kept on going.
What I'm looking forward to over the weekend NBA free agency, it will roll along. We'll have some MLB game. I want to see what happens in the KD sweepstakes. I have a feeling that we're going to have some developments. We're going to have some developments over the weekend.
By the time we get back Tuesday?
Maybe by Tuesday. Maybe by Tuesday we'll have an answer on where Kevin Durant is going. Also, I'm looking forward to UFC 276. This is going to be a really good card. Obviously, it's pay-per-view. But Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier in the main event. In the co-main event, Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. It should be a very good card in the UFC this week.
Quick, high, hard one. By Tuesday at 3 o'clock when we reassemble, KD's with a new team or Oregon's in a new conference?
No. KD, new team. I'd vote on.
Yeah, KD.
Also, Live Golf versus the John Deere versus the Irish Open this weekend. NBA, the wheeling and dealing, we'll see where all it shakes out. College football rumors, you can almost fill in any rumor you want right now. In baseball, all weekend, Red Sox at Wrigley this afternoon, Cardinals in Philadelphia all weekend. It's going to be a fun, festive holiday weekend. I'll be at AutoZone Park tomorrow night, fireworks tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday night at 3rd and Union.
Got to end the show how I started it. Shout out to Bobby Bonilla. It is his day today.
I thought you were going to ask for another LIV update.
I don't need it. Well,
what a star-studded leaderboard we got right now.
Are you going to give
Dustin
it to me regardless?
Johnson still in first place, 9 under. Carlos Ortiz, 6 under. Look who's making a run. Brooks Koepka at 3 under in third place. Wow, should be a great weekend in Portland. I probably won't watch much of it.
Bobby Bonilla is $1,193,248.20 over today. Good for him. My gosh. But that's all we have for today in the week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Alan Bell and Bruce Marshall for their contributions to the program. Like Brett said, we will not be in here on Monday for the 4th. But for Brett, for Brian, I'm Gabe. Enjoy your night, your weekend, and your 4th. We'll holler at you on Tuesday.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy.